positive and have a great show. And remember that this evening you are asked to come and speak, tell us what's on your mind. So we look forward to hearing from everyone. Thanks much.
Fantastic. Okay, great. All right.
Pampers keeps absorbing.
I'm going to start this evening by playing a little bit of one of the PNP's major surrogate, Mr.
I hope that you are
Mr. Parottee Perry. Mr. Parottee Perry had some things to say about the Prime Minister not being certified. And Mr. Perry is an upcoming politician, I suspect. But man, he's dishonest. Mr. Perry is either dishonest or he lacks the skills to comment on issues. And if you are listening, Mr. Perry, you have to do better than this man. And I don't think you are intellectually dishonest, but you have to do better than this. Listen to Mr. Perry. Listen to Mr. Perry.
Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe
to the Hello Neighbour podcast.
Subscribers, and I'd like us to get there by July. The unpreparedness of our government is showing. We have a lack of proper shelters. Not even the churches that in Jamaica. The roads are terrible itself. It's a scramble.
All right, so
this is getting enough attention. It's not, and it is sad. And I'll tell you why. Mark Jefferson Golden ran a campaign last year, the 2025 general elections, a campaign run on integrity, accountability, and transparency.
Yeah, so I didn't know that the opposition leader ran a campaign on integrity, transparency, and accountability. I didn't know that at all. You know what? Leave Mr. Perry alone. I won't bother with him at all. The fact of the matter, though, is that there are so many people that are trying to spin this integrity commission matter, and I believe that they're not making much sense. They're not making much sense at all. The other matter is that the Prime Minister is getting some.
So Nara is not.
It's getting some criticism from no less a person than Deon Jackson Miller, who feels that the Prime Minister ought not to have criticized the civil society groups for, remember when the Prime Minister came out and said that they had political agendas. Listen to Miss Miller.
My new Women's Health podcast scrubbed in by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness that NARA, the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, is now an entity in law.
NARA.
By the way, I learned, that there is a lot of people in Jamaica that are not happy with NARA. That there have been some secret meetings to find out how to stop this bill. People are not happy. And if you listen to Mr. Deon Jackson Miller, you realize what is happening, that it seems as if there are some concerns. Yes. And we just have to stay tuned because the war is on. The war against NARA is definitely on. Listen to this.
Is fully legal. NARA is in effect.
So, of course, You have an entity, you have to have a CEO, and the PM announced that that job had gone to, drum roll please, Major.
You hear that? She had done a drum roll. It's almost like Dion Jackson Miller is being sarcastic there. Drum roll, because the head of NARA is who? Major General Anderson. Did you hear Miss Nikisha Burchell the other day saying that the major was handpicked? The strategy is clear, you know. The government is getting pushback. Yeah. NARA is receiving fierce opposition. And you know, I was somewhere today and I got into conversation with someone who I had to ask a question. Why? Why is there such opposition to the NARA legislation? Why? And you know, it appears, you know, that many people are warming to the idea that as Jamaica grows, the PNP woes are going to deepen. And if you listen to Scratchy on this program yesterday, Scratchy was making the point that that the PNP pitches its message to the poor, and the less poor, yes, as you launch a massive attack on poverty, the stocks of the comrades will diminish. It's a fascinating argument, you know, because the idea is that NARA is going to lay down the groundwork for massive economic growth and improvements in Jamaica. And in that regard, the PNP will stand no chance at the next election. Right? It's fascinating. Listen a little bit more to this.
General Anthony Anderson.
Final decision came down to someone who has served the country very well. And the decision was to appoint Major General Anthony Anderson, who is now currently ambassador to the United States. Obviously, that will change. He was former Commissioner of Police and former Chief of Defense Staff.
As I said, there's a lot to catch up on, but there are some things I am going to go back to because I think they're important enough for me to do a video on them. And I do want to do a separate video on the appointment of General Anderson and the first.
You hear that? So she's coming with a video on that. You know, I think even before we talk about parity, that the people of Jamaica ought to be aware that Major Anderson applied. Major Anderson applied. Okay, so just when we are arming you with the facts so that you don't have to get distracted. We don't need to do any video on the appointment of Major Anderson. Well, if Miss Jackson Miller wants to do our video, she can do our video. She wants to get views and likes too. So that's all right. But I don't know what this is about, the appointment of Major Anderson. The man said he applied. The Prime Minister, he says applied. Argument done.
Comments we've heard from him so far. So hold any thoughts you have on that, okay? I know a lot of people are very vocal about the appointment. I'm going to come to that, I promise. Because that's not my issue for this video. This video has to do with some of the comments that Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made in announcing that NARA was now a legal entity and in announcing the appointment of the CEO.
Firstly, let me say that no legislation is perfect, and there is always a battle for the better view.
Remember what I said, that I was somewhere today and I heard it being raised that there are forces in Jamaica that are prepared to take on the Prime Minister. They are going to take him on because they feel that he is getting too much. I'm going to tell you the truth. There is dread in the opposition. The PNP, they are losing their minds. They don't know what to do. They are having strategy meetings. My understanding is that people from overseas are getting involved. They are meeting with people in media. They are meeting with bloggers, all trying to find out, how do we stop Andrew Holness winning a 4th term? How do we stop it? The polls are not in their favor. Polls are taken. Preliminary polls are suggesting that he's unbeatable, that nobody in the party can beat him. And therefore, psychologists are being employed to find out, how do we prevent the Jamaica Labour Party from winning a 4th consecutive term? Because if Holness wins a 4th term, you heard him at the Chamber of Commerce, he wants Jamaica to become like Singapore and Dubai. Punch in Dubai in your phone and punch in Singapore. Singapore has a per capita GDP of 88,000 US dollars. There are no poor people in Singapore. People don't drive. As a matter of fact, you know that in Singapore, a lot of people, it's very expensive to own a car in Singapore, you know. And they don't want the road to be jammed up. So they have one of the best public transportation system in Singapore. The buses run like that. If you are to catch a bus in Singapore at 7 o'clock, I can tell you at 7 o'clock when you drive up at the bus station, the bus stop, the bus is there. All right, and they have a public transportation in Singapore that is second to none. And the Prime Minister of Jamaica is saying that he wants Jamaica to be like Singapore. Then that not kill the PNP, man. In Jamaica turn Singapore, then people are just going to go to the polls to endorse Andrew. And remember, Andrew Holness is a young man, you know. He has maybe another 20 years left in him. So can you imagine Holness winning 2030 and 2035 and 2040 and 2045 and 2050? It is giving the PNP diarrhea. They are having diarrhea. I tell you the truth. I understand that since the election, some of them have stopped, wet up themselves. And you know, democracy, you see, is a cruel teacher, you know. Because democracy doesn't debate you. Democracy votes you. Democracy is a cruel teacher. And, you know, people tell me about karma. I don't believe in karma. But I believe in what is called reciprocity. And reciprocity is a theological, it can be applied in theology. And when I talk about theology is the study of God. while I'm onto that, you talk about Christology, which is the study of Christ. But in reciprocity, it speaks about the seed. And the Bible says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sow, that he may reap. And I suspect that the PNP is going to reap that which they have sown. And nobody put the PNP in a disposition, and then put themselves there. And as I've been arguing, and I was arguing this yesterday, that the PNP's problem is not about individual. It's not an individual that the PNP needs to change. And my advice to the PNP is leave Mark Golding there. Because it's not Mark Golding is the PNP's problem. As bad as he is, and man, he's bad. The PNP's problem is that they are wedded to the identity of 30 years ago. And Jamaica has largely transitioned. Jamaica has moved on. The Jamaica that the PNP is pitching to, Mr. Crawford, if you're listening to me, that Jamaica no longer exists. It's a ghost. The PNP is campaigning to ghost. It's a ghost. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. Right? So whether you change Golding in November, it don't matter. What you have to change is the identity of the party. The PNP is speaking to a cracked mirror. They are wedded to the past. You hear them talk about, Michael Manley. Michael Manley reincarnate. You hear the Jamaica Labour Party talking about Edward Seaga reincarnate or Hugh Shearer. That is not going to sell.
Asking everyone to repost the live, keep the comment section active, and continue to tap the screen and send some gifts to the platform. Thanks.
So there is fear. There is fear in the party that the Jamaica Labour Party is going to win a fourth term. And it is giving them diarrhea. It is giving them sleepless nights, and they are strategizing, and they are meeting. And my understanding is that they have asked all of their people to be on full attack mode. In other words, the government must never get any credit for anything it does. The government must never settle down. This must be a term of attack and obstructionists. And they are going to try and see if they can force an early election. That is the strategy, to force the government to call an early election to see if they can win it. And what my understanding is that they want to force the election before the NARA projects can be rolled out. In other words, during this time when the country is going through a difficult time. I don't know if it's going to work, but that is the strategy I hear. Plato warned that the people will get the government they deserve. And there is a concept in philosophy that says that the general will does not err. The general will does not err. In other words, that the majority of the people are always getting things right. Now, that is debatable, but not for the purpose of this argument, the general will does not err. And 3 elections ago, Jamaicans spoke. 2 elections ago, Jamaicans repeated what they spoke, and 7 months ago, they underlined it. So the 2025 election was an underlining of the voice of the Jamaican people. In other words, the Jamaican people endorses the government. They endorse Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The PNP, though, is saying that Jamaica mash up. And the question I'd like to ask the comrades is, why after 3 mirrors does the PNP still argue with the reflection? Filters were introduced because people couldn't take what is being seen in the mirror. I am very careful with AI. There was a time when there was no filters, when you only have the mirror. And so you had to face what was in the mirror and deal with it. And I believe the PNP is arguing with their reflection. Let's go back to no sound. There's no sound. Hello? You're not hearing me?
I'm hearing you, Neighbour. For those of you who are not hearing, could you log out and rejoin, please?
Yeah.
I'm hearing you perfect.
Okay.
Perfectly well, Neighbour.
Listen to Miss Diane Jackson.
Always. And we don't shy away from robust debate about what is the better view. However, I found that much of what was proposed came from a place of mistrust, of fear, and ignorance. And it clouded the public's understanding of what we were trying to achieve. From my position, I gave the directive to my members that we must not lose sight of the objective of creating an institution that can move with agility, speed, but at the same time, respect the fundamental principles of fairness, inclusion, competitiveness, consultation. And I think we can do it. I don't think these principles are at odds with speed.
All right, so let me tell you a secret. I actually think the PM.
If you start touchy challenge on
Right, so we're gonna get back to that in a minute. Okay, let's hear that.
Political communicators around. He's really wonderful. I mean, he's warm. He comes across as friendly and yet authoritative. You know, whenever there's a difficult situation, he just steps in, and the way in which he communicates and says what it is the government is doing really, really helps, I think, to instill confidence in people that the country is in good hands and that we know what we're doing. He has a lovely, lovely tone. So yeah, the way in which he says things, always great. The issue I have here is what he said on this occasion. Look, man, I never just one and two people and opposition, politician and haters who had issues with the Naira bill. There were so many people, so many groups that were pointing out shortcomings in this piece of legislation. And I'm not talking about people who could be described as coming from a position of, what was it, ignorance and fear. You had a coalition of 28 civil society groups and individuals. They had issued a statement of concern. I'd done a video on civil society saying you're not talking to us about this Naira bill. I'll link that below and at the end as well. So I'm not going to rehash what they said. But some of the groups that signed on to that particular statement, Advocates Network, Stand Up for Jamaica, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, Jamaicans for Justice, Jamaica Environment Trust, Jamaica National Integrity Action, Jamaica Beach Birthright Movement. Some of the other groups outside of the 28 that express concern, church groups, the Jamaica Council of Churches, the Jamaica Umbrella Groups of Churches, the Watchman Church Leaders Alliance, engineers, the Incorporated Master Builders Association, other groups that people don't really...
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. Why did the 28 groups come together? Think about it. And the church, what is the church doing in that group? What is the church doing among them? Some of them I've never heard about. But why did they come together? All of a sudden, they had to come together. Well, guess what? The bill passed. And it is now law. And they are still trying to find a way to stop it going forward. The people of Jamaica didn't vote for 28 civil society groups. Where them come from? who the people of Jamaica elected to run the country. I don't know what is happening here, that we are going to exalt the concerns of civil society groups. Civil society want to run the country, they want contest elections. Go and put their name on the ballot. We never vote for civil society groups. It's part of the problem, is that politics gets so involved in our discussions that we don't even know what to believe. And I'm concerned that the church got itself involved here. What is the church saying? Why is the church's voice not an independent voice? The church don't need anybody to speak for it. The church don't need to join with any civil society groups. Some of these civil society groups, beg your pardon, are part of the problem, I'll never forget at one time when they were quietly trying to introduce homosexuality into Jamaica. And I must tell you, I don't get involved in people's sexual life, but yes, there was a push at one time.
Hear as much about, or you don't really hear them talk a lot, the Yamawe Council of Indigenous Leaders.
Hear them. Yamawe Council of Indigenous Leaders. Never heard about them before. What the hell, Yamawe Council of Indigenous Leaders business with Nara Bill? Huh? Yamawe Council of You ever hear any of them? Anybody in the chat ever hear about them? Never heard about them before. Yamame Council of Indigenous Leaders. What the dickens? The real problem is that the real problem, you see, is that the PNP is very worried that the Jamaica Labour Party is going to win a fourth term. That's it. The election is on. The general election that is 4 years ago have started. And whether you believe it or not, that's the focus. Have nothing to do with NARA. Have nothing to do with concerns for citizens. Have nothing to do with any accountability. All it has to do with is a preventing of Andrew Holness from winning a fourth consecutive term. Because you know why? The PNP have the record. PJ Patterson is the longest serving Prime Minister of Jamaica, and the PNP wants to keep that record. Poetry teaches us that you can't court a lover by calling her ugly. You can't love a girl and you want her and you text her and say, baby, you're ugly. No. If you are going to court a woman, you have to describe her as attractive, as nice, as beautiful. Yes. Politics teaches that you can't win up people by calling their country broken when they are busy building their country. The PNP is trying to court Jamaica, but at the same time, it is calling Jamaica ugly. Don't work. Uh, 11 minutes to 7 o'clock. Little more.
They were concerned, for instance, about the impact of NARA on land rights. Just to give you an example. So we're talking professional groups, civil society groups, advocacy groups, community groups, church groups, people who are skilled and experienced in areas like governance, in development, in construction. All of them saying there are issues with this bill. Well, it's now the law. The point I'm making is that the concerns about the NARA bill were coming from a whole heap of people from different groups, different occupations, different skill sets. So for the Prime Minister to sound as if he's dismissing all of that with this comment about fear and ignorance is honestly deeply disrespectful. But he had more to say.
But it's clear to me that there are a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see speed. They believe that if it didn't take long, it wasn't well done. And we need to change that culture. But there are also a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see NARA succeed. It's not in their political interest for NARA to succeed, and we must call them out. They hide under all kinds of names, claim to be parts of civil society when they're not. They are political activists, and we must call them by the name. And I stand here frankly and say that.
This is a really bad comment from the PM. Honestly, it's terrible. Because the message people are getting here is that, boy, if you don't fall in line with government, if you don't do what they want to do, if you don't say what they want to say, somehow you're going to be branded as a political activist. Come on. These are not the kind of statements that support democratic deliberation and debate. These are not the kind of statements that celebrate participatory democracy. Because if people feel that if you talk out and you criticize and you oppose, and yeah, I'm going to use the word oppose because it's not a bad word. If you don't like something, there's nothing wrong with opposing it. If you think something is bad for the country, there's no problem with opposing it. But if you think that if you come out and speak...
Hold on there. If you think something is bad for the country, you are to oppose it. So then, NARA was bad. Is that what is being said here? That NARA was bad for the country? That is amazing. You know, identity, you see, can become a prison. Identity can become a prison. Jadon? Hello? Jadon? Not there? Tom Bam?
Jadon, could you please unmute your microphone? Oh, he's gone.
Tom Bam? Tom Bam, not there. Anyway,
we got Chef Call. I can't see the rest of the name.
Yeah, he's not up yet. He's kind of loading. Okay. All right.
Yes, he's here now. Chef, could you open your microphone, please?
Oh boy. All right. Yeah. So until he joins us,
I could do it.
So it's something to be concerned about.
Honeybee.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening, Caroline. Good evening, Neighbour.
good evening.
I'm just wondering, as you said, Neighbour, some of these civil society groups have never heard about them before. I didn't know they exist. But I'm saying, now you're coming out about NARA, right? You don't see anything that was happening before this NARA bill introduced? Why is it that we always want to put things in procurement and then things take 2.5 to 3 years and then you hear that money get missing? Because they don't want speed. They don't want things to be done accurately. They just want things to be done the way they are used to. They don't want change. That's the problem with Jamaica. They don't want change. They want things to go the way they want it because it don't suit their political interest. Exactly what the Prime Minister says, that's exactly what is happening. And it's going to ruffle some feathers, but that's okay. They have been doing it all this time. They have been calling him a thief. They have been doing everything, and the Prime Minister don't respond. Now, when he responds, it ruffles some feathers, and I think that is excellent.
Well, I think he has done more than ruffle feathers. As a matter of fact,
If he step on something,
that
that's even better.
that press conference that the Prime Minister had, my understanding is that many have not taken it well, where the Prime Minister called them out, and you see,
That's okay.
they are going to be pushing back. With pushback has already started. So the Prime Minister was out of order.
Oh.
Yeah.
But when the Integrity Commission decide not to give them not to do the Prime Minister's declaration for over 5 years, it gone more than a term now, in Neighbour. And they're still holding on to it. But when young Jamaicans come out, the youth arm come out and ask them what they could get it done over the weekend, that he could publish in the Sunday Gleaner, and they don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, I don't know that the two things align. I quite frankly think that young Jamaica
But
ought
if you're a
not to
civil
have.
society, Neighbour, if you're a civil society,
Who?
you will see the
Who is civil society?
Sorry.
Sorry, who is civil society?
I would like to know, because for me, the action that they're taking is not civil, in my opinion. Because who would not want the country to rebuild and move forward? Why wouldn't you want that?
Well, as I said, ma'am, I think at the heart of much of what is happening in Jamaica today is a reality that is confronting the opposition, and that reality is that the prospect of a fourth term seem real. Now, ma'am, there are very few democracies in the world. America has term limits. You can't stay in power for more than 2 terms.
Yes.
In recent times, Barbados, they have elected Mayor Motley 3 consecutive times. It has only happened in Jamaica once since independence. It happened in 2025 with Holness. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know that the Jamaica Labour Party has never won a second term in government.
Yes, I do. No, they did.
No, they did not.
They
No, they did not. The
did not contest the election.
Right. So the 1983 election was not contested. So the Labour Party did not win that election against any opponent.
Okay. Oh, because I did not have an opponent.
Right.
Yes.
And I tell you this, ma'am, and this is a matter of fact, because had the PNP contested the 83 election, they probably would have won, because the stone polls showed them ahead. 3 years into Mr. Siaga's as a matter of fact, they had previously swept the local elections, and
Yes.
and the PNP would have been probably back in power in 1983. But that's for another program. So the Labour Party has never won a second term in government. Now they have won 3 terms, and the prospect of them winning a 4th term is real, ma'am.
It is, and that drive fear in a lot of people.
I think it is driving. I think it is driving more than fear. I think it is driving panic and hatred, not only in the People's National Party, ma'am. Not only in the People's National Party, but into a lot of people in the society who see their existence in the PNP being in power.
Yes.
You know what? Mr. Pickersgill said that we always feel that it is best for the country for the PNP to form the government.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that.
Right. And therefore there are some people with interests that those interests are now, not being realized simply because Holness is in power and the type of politics that he practiced much different from the PNP. The PNP is very statist, ma'am. Their ideology is very statist. In other words, they run a statist government where people depend on the state, and thereby they exercise control over people. But I am putting it to you, ma'am, that the PNP is campaigning to a Jamaica that is no longer existing. And that is their problem.
Okay, if I was a young daughter, Neighbour, if I was a young daughter in my 20s, you telling me about Michael Manley, I don't know about Michael Manley.
Yes.
I can't see any relevance with Michael Manley, because Michael Manley was before I born. You
Yes.
understand what I'm saying? So now you add another prime minister that served 18 and a half years that is still alive. Why are you not campaigning on him? You have another prime minister which is a female, the first female prime minister ever, and the only one ever in Jamaica. And you are not campaigning on her. Why not? And she's still alive.
Well, she never achieved much, ma'am.
But that's the point. That's the point, because history have PJ Patterson as the worst prime minister. They have him as the crime minister, so therefore they will not want to campaign on him. But you're campaigning on a man that is dead. My daughter, who will be a new voter, will not have any clue who Michael Manley is.
But ma'am, that is not the point, because the United States the Republicans reference Ronald Reagan as one of America's great leader. You remember Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall,
Yes.
and Reagan, the Reagan era was a good one. The Democrats still remember.
But the thing is, Neighbour, there were things to remember Reagan by.
Yeah, and that's the point. And that's the point I'm making. That there's not much to remember Michael Manley for.
Exactly my point. So what is the relevance of you campaigning on him? But they don't have anything to campaign on. So their strategy is to tear down the government, try to frustrate the government to see if they can get the prime minister frustrated. But remember, if you saw an interview when Bruce stepped down and he was just elected at 37 years old, he said for him it's a calling. It is something that he was always being prepared for. So therefore, they frustrating him is not going to be an easy task, because this man is in it for the long haul, and that's what is killing them. Trust me. Everything that they're doing is not they can't break him. They can't break him, and that's where they have a problem, because they expect him to get frustrated. They expect him to retaliate. And people that he speaks to is saying that he's calm, he's cool, and when he speaks, they understand. But yet still, they are just a had to throw shades on that.
Jamaica's
just
ninth
to say.
Prime Minister. Good morning, sir. Welcome
morning.
to Smart.
And that's where the problem is. So what she's trying to say is not just these people are coming from. We don't know the qualification of the people of these civil society that she's talking about, and who cares? Because they're coming from a place of bias. And why is the church there? What relevance is the church?
No, not really, not what relevance. The church is relevant. We can question why they chose to be associated or affiliated with these other groups, but the church is relevant.
Yeah, but you know why I have an issue?
Yes.
There is a so-called pastor, I will not say the name, that always campaign for the opposition party. And he is now bringing voodoo in this whole foolishness.
Oh?
Yes, saying that they went and planned something in Black River to take away people and what the heck?
Well,
and I'm saying, for me, the church is kind of, for me, some of the pronouncement from the church is a little bit shady for me, and that's all I will say about that. But I just don't understand, why are they so much in fear of the country moving forward?
Well,
I don't get it. But you want, yet still, you are running away from the country to go overseas to spread your wings and to earn and to do whatever. But you don't want to see the country that this is your place, Remember, no matter where you go, you are a Jamaican. You can't be nothing else. No matter what status you get anywhere else, you are a Jamaican. At the end of the day, this is your island home, and you don't want to see your island better than it is now?
Yeah. Hold on there, ma'am. Let's hear from Connecting. Hello.
One minute, let me clarify something that I speak to you about last night. Remember that pool argument?
Yes.
I saw about the video. People misunderstood. Unless they see something different than what I see. It's two persons in the pool, but they are not in the same pool. They were playing a game, They were on a live playing a game. and both of them face was up in their camera. So they stand in the camera, put them side and side, look like they're in the same space, but they are not.
Okay, you
That's
don't have
the
to leave.
guys-
You don't have to leave, man. Just hold on. Connecting the dots. Hi.
Good evening, everybody. Evening, neighbor. How you doing?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
All right, I just want to clarify something that you said concerning the 1983 snap election. The initial poll by Carstone did show the PP in the lead. But the event in Grenada, that upheaval in Grenada in October 1983, where the government was overthrown, the Morris Bishop-led government was overthrown, it had actually rehashed that communist ideology.
What are you clarifying, connecting?
Where they said that the PP would have won that election and they would have lost more seats. I'm making the point that if my mind had contested, he would have lost more of the 9 seats that he won in 1980. Because
No, man.
coin was-
Hold on, please. That is subjective connecting. With the greatest of respect, that is a subjective argument. My argument is that Carlstone showed that the PNP were leading, and prior to that, they had won the local elections.
No. I'm sorry, no. The JLP won the election, the local election.
No, they did
The
not.
PNP won the local election in 1986.
Right, correct, yes.
The JLP won 81 and the
Yeah.
PNP won 86.
Bobby Pickersgill, sir, was calling for the elections, but Mr.
Yes.
Siaga, hold on. Mr. Siaga had made a commitment that he would not call the election on the voters list, the old voters list.
I agree.
Right, and it was a snap election.
Yes, I agree. Between 15 of December 1983.
Snap election.
The only thing I'm saying, going on, neighbor, I'm not even opposing what you're saying, because you're correct. When you said that the polls
And I tell you something, 1989 bore that out.
Yes, but 83, the Grenada event.
I know about that, but I'm saying to you that
Right.
1989 bore it out. Look at the massive,
Yes, man.
massive
Yeah,
landslide
yes.
the PNP won. Once Michael
Yeah.
Manley was on the ballot, sir, it was always going to be difficult.
I agree.
And there were some other things in that 89 election, that many Jamaicans are not aware of, because there was interference, sir, in both the 89 election and the 1980 election.
I totally agree with you.
In other words, the sovereignty of Jamaica, we were not very sovereign
No,
because I don't know that those elections reflected the total will of the people. Wouldn't you agree with that?
absolutely.
Yes.
I was around and in the security forces, so I would have
Yes.
that on the ground.
And there were forces from outside that
Yes, but
that were heavily
influence the result.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
We have come a far way, in terms
a long,
of
long way.
our democracy,
Yes.
connecting.
A long, long way.
Yeah.
To
Come
the
a far
extent
way.
now that others are mentoring us and we are going abroad to assist others
Yes.
with their electoral processes.
Yes. Don't I like your comment on what I'm hearing, that there is a fear in Jamaica of there's a real prospect that Mr. Holness can win a 4th term. Do you believe that, by the way?
The only thing that can prevent the 4th term is the JLP that will turn against itself.
They would have to turn against themselves.
In other words, they would have to lose the election. The PNP can't win the JLP again.
Okay. So then,
We're talking about 4 and 5 and possibly 6.
well, no, let's not go to 6 and 5 yet.
Yeah.
There's a real, and I want to talk. This is a real part. There is a real prospect that the Jamaica Labour Party is going to be very competitive for a 4th consecutive term. Don't you agree?
Totally agree.
Okay.
And it could be by an increased majority.
Okay, so if you are agreeing with me that there is a real prospect that the Jamaica Labour Party is in pole position to win 4 terms in government. Now,
Hands down.
yes, now, if that is so, and you connected was a member of the opposition, wouldn't you be very concerned? You know what I heard former Mayor of Maypen saying at a meeting in Mandeville, that them tired to be in opposition. That was the Labour Party, you know. That them tired to in opposition.
Yeah.
You know, when Mr. Shaw challenged Mr. Holness, he was being endorsed by the former mayor of Clarendon, Maypen. I don't remember his name. He died. And the man was saying them tired to be in opposition. Tired. And I think that any opposition party that is facing a 4th consecutive defeat is going to be concerned. You don't think?
Concern is another statement, neighbor.
Do you remember? Concern. Do you remember when the Labour Party kept losing elections after elections?
89, 93, 97, 2002.
You were part of that. You were part of the reason.
No, man. No.
But weren't you a comrade?
I made that switch 46 years ago.
Oh, okay. So you were a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. You were supporting the Labour Party when they were losing these elections.
I took all those battering.
How it made you feel? How it made you feel?
Neighbor, is that a good feeling?
Yes, I can.
Is that good? I was at the time I was a carrier policeman, so I could even show that movie. I would just ride the beat and get that move.
Yeah.
But is that a good feeling?
Yeah, and so just imagine now that the PNP is looking and I say, how are we going to beat this man? Because there's just nothing that you can come with that, because the man is delivering connecting. It's not that he's not performing, you know. The opposition
and the people the voters are not like before, you know.
Yes.
The voters are more highly informed and educated, and they are making more informed decisions now.
Yes.
Including commercial, including some commercial.
Yes.
That's
yes.
In the PNP.
Oh yes.
People want their country to be developed.
Oh yes.
And you know, the Prime Minister made a statement, you know, just recently concerning Naira. He said Naira is the best thing that happened to Jamaica in this generation. You know?
Yes.
He said that. And the PNP is also aware what Naira is about to do. If you notice something, you know, they are skillfully not been saying that Naira, in fact they have been saying that Naira is good. I don't know if you have picked that up. The PNP is saying that Naira is good, you know? But you know, they go on with the but. Because they know that Naira will deliver, and they don't want to be in that situation where the people say, oh, PNP is Naira not good. You get what I'm saying?
I get you.
We all know that Naira is good, and even their bloggers are putting it out there that Naira is good, and they have a reason for doing that, because they are very strategic, you know. They know, they are aware of what Naira is about to do for the people and for Jamaica, especially those affected by Hurricane Melissa. So they don't want to be that bad apple in the bunch to say that they say that Naira isn't good. I want to move to another point here.
Go ahead.
To clarify something. Read the Prime Minister's statutory declaration. We should not expect it to be certified until after the court case. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't see the Integrity Commission. It's out of their hands now, you know. Because the matter is before the court.
Yes.
So the Integrity Commission cannot now certify. So when people go out there hollering at the top of the lungs that the Prime Minister has certified how much years, they have to await the court hearing. So
yeah, but hold on. Why would the court not expedite this matter based on the public interest in it? I don't remember what they call that there's a term for that where the public interest is this high. Why not expedite it?
But I don't think they're not expediting it. It's just that it's a complex legal matter, and I think because the judge had said that, you know, the Prime Minister, matter involved the Prime Minister, it has to be expedited. But
Yes.
in there an appeal going on now. But generally speaking, justice is slow in Jamaica, you know. Very slow. Far too slow.
Uh-huh.
So we just have to wait that court hearing. But I just wanted to do this forum to alert the public that the fact that the matter is sub judice, the matter is before the court. We should not expect this IC. The IC can no longer certify while the matter is being heard in court. So we can put that to rest.
Yes.
Knowing that we should not anticipate certification until after the court hearing. I do really believe that the IC will certify the Prime Minister after the court hearing. I believe that.
Yes. Well,
now, to me, it's a fallacious argument for anybody to say that the Prime Minister and anybody else caused hurricane to blow anyway. And it is even worse to have people listen to that. If you are Jamaican and listen to that, tell me that you're worse than the person saying it. It sounds so ridiculous to me that Prime Minister can make hurricanes here.
Yes.
And all that kind of rubbish. So we just need to get sensible now and stop tearing down Jamaica. I get the impression that some persons are trying to tear down Jamaica overseas.
Uh-huh.
Even overseas they are doing it.
Right.
We should all be Jamaicans and not so latched onto a political party that we can't be honest. We can't be Jamaican. We have to be Jamaican before we are PNP or JP. And that's where I land for the time.
Hold on, don't move. Tom Bam, good evening to you. Hello? Tom Bam?
Tom Bam was there before and wouldn't speak. I don't know what happened. The microphone with the Tom Bam, the microphone with the jump
He's
again.
gone. We have Blackie and then we have Ingram. Blackie? Blackie? No, we don't have him. Ingram and Ingram. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Not bad at all.
I'm so excited when I heard this comment by the gentleman just now about the Prime Minister's statutory declaration. A fascinating statement made by him.
What did he say? What did he say?
That he said he don't think that the Prime Minister's statutory declaration will be certified until after the court case.
You don't agree with that?
Of course, I've been saying that all the way long. I've been saying that. I've been pointing out that fact. That the fact of the matter is that the Prime Minister of Jamaica requested a judicial review on his statutory declaration after it was tabled in Parliament. He had presented 28 affidavits.
Which means that the patriots from the party you support are not listening to you, man, because they came out last week asking for the young Jamaica to provide some information as to why the Prime Minister is not certified. You don't think that was a wishy-washy statement coming from them?
No, PMP have been asking for that. The PMP are fully aware.
No. You didn't know. Hold on. You didn't see the statement by the Patriots?
I saw both statements. I heard both.
The Patriots was saying that the Prime Minister, that young Jamaica should provide some answers as to why the Prime Minister declaration was not certified. And I'm saying to you, I'm saying to you, both young Jamaica and the Patriots are in error.
No, I think this statement about the Prime Minister was made as a result of the call that was made in the opposition for him to be certified. That's what the reason why the PMP team made the statement, because they are saying that why are you calling for the opposition?
No, sir, that is after the IC certified the Prime Minister. The Patriot put out a statement commending
certify the opposition leader.
Right, commending Mr. Golding and suggesting that that young Jamaica should ask some questions of the Prime Minister. But to be fair, Ingram, the Prime Minister nor the opposition leader can't certify themselves. that is a matter.
Certainly not.
Right.
Certainly not. And no one have been suggesting that. What I find very interesting, though, this is a simple matter.
What matter?
The Prime Minister's statutory declaration.
It can't be simple. It can't be simple
Yes,
if the
no.
IC brought in investigators, paid them $30 million. It can't be simple.
No, that's a different matter. That's a different matter.
Okay.
That's a forensic audit was done. After the forensic audit was done, the forensic audit also unearthed 4 more bank statements, which was presented, and the lady said she's not gonna charge because it doesn't reach the threshold for a charge. We all know that. We all know that story.
That is a lie, sir.
And the fact of the matter is, after those 4 bank statements were told as that being
What I would not want to do. Hold on.
Let me finish.
All right. Go ahead.
After the 4 bank statements, the 4 bank accounts were said no, there's no charge for that. Then the Prime Minister asked for a matter to be presented to the judge review. He presented 28 affidavits. 25 was thrown out and 3 was left to go on to additional review. The Prime Minister himself also file a lawsuit in the Supreme Court requesting some document, some statement to withdraw from affidavit that were presented. That matter was heard. The court denied the case, but give the Prime Minister the option to appeal. I would have listened to both attorneys for both sides discussing the matter the evening after the trial. Both side attorneys, both attorneys agree of the sequence of events that took place up to that point.
What I would not want to do with respect, Brother Ingram, is to try this case here.
No, it can't be tried here. Hold on, it can't be tried here.
Right.
I've also heard that non-argument about can't discuss the matter. Any public matter in Jamaica can be discussed.
Well, I don't want to get. Oh, hold on. Let me read. So the PNP Patriots congratulate opposition leader Mark Bolin on the recent certification of his 2024 statutory declaration by the Integrity Commission. This development is yet another demonstration of the high standard of accountability, transparent, Then they said, we note with interest that Young Jamaica, the youth arm of the Jamaica Labour Party, recently called on Mr. Bolin to publicly explain why his declarations had not yet been certified. Now that the Integrity Commission has completed its review and certification, we await with equal interest a similar level of enthusiasm from them regarding the Prime Minister's own declarations. So, what is the Patriot saying?
No, the fact that it was rather hypocritical to be calling on the opposition leader when the Prime Minister's own is not certified from 2021.
Yeah, but and you agree with me earlier that that Young Jamaica probably may have but at the same time the Prime Minister cannot certify himself.
No, I don't agree with you on anything. The Prime Minister cannot certify himself. The certification of a statutory declaration reside in the Integrity Commission's office.
Thank you.
That's where it reside.
Thank you. I think we could leave that there.
And we all know that.
Right.
Anyhow, what I'm asking, the crucial question I've been asking from the other day, is when these 2 court matters is completed, will the Prime Minister of Jamaica be a fit and proper person to continue as Prime Minister? That's a crucial question I am asking.
Hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean fit and proper?
If the matter with respect to the court, if that appeal was thrown out, and then the Integrity Commission and the court complete the review, and then after review is completed, then the investigation of the FID and the TAJ is completed, and it has been established that there are matters that need to be answered to. Then, in that case, if the matter become
but Mr. Ingram, you don't believe in process. Let me ask you a question, Brother Ingram.
100%.
Hold on. If someone lies on you or accuses you of something, isn't it not in your right to challenge the matter in court?
Of course.
Yes.
All Jamaicans have that right.
Right, and if you feel that even the court does gave you a verdict that you don't agree, you not appeal it.
Of course.
Wouldn't you go as far as to the Privy Council to make sure that your good name is protected?
As far as the Lord of the land allow me to, I would.
Yes, and there is something, Brother Ingram, that we need to teach our people in Jamaica, and I want you to help me to do this. That allegations and charge do not mean guilty.
That's correct. That's correct.
That an allegation is hearsay. When you are charged, it just means that you are to prove to the court whether you are right or wrong.
That is correct.
That we must wait the outcome of a process before we condemn.
That I don't know who is condemning, I don't know who
But when you say whether or not the Prime Minister will be fit or proper, that is not a judgment that we can make at this point.
I'm not making a judgment.
But why ask the question?
It's a crucial question because to be investigated by the FID in Jamaica is not an ordinary matter.
No. Hold on. You just agree with me that we must submit ourselves. Remember, you see all this thing where the patriots are congratulating the leader of the opposition. There's nothing to be congratulated about, really, Mr. Ingram, because it is a statutory obligation. Now, if you fulfill your statutory obligation under law, there's nothing to be congratulated about. Is there?
No, there's nothing, no.
No, there's nothing. It's not that Mr. Golden, it's not Mr. Golden demonstrated.
It was obvious that there's a sense of sarcasm in that statement.
Well, how them say you're not a fear? How they say you're not a fear? Hold on. How them say you're not a fear, man?
My brother, I'm 100% fear. Somebody said to me the other day that I'm singing for my supper. I have never been paid by any politician in this country or anywhere.
Well,
I speak my word with authority anywhere I go. I don't sickle for the naysayers.
Okay.
I stand on my integrity 24/7.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Let me go back here before I bring Chuck in. So Mr. Ingram, and I have made this point because don't you agree with me, sir, that Jamaica is suffering from a level of civic illiteracy?
No, I don't think so.
No, we don't. But sir, then people condemn people on an allegation. That is not civic literacy.
No, nobody. I'm not aware.
I'm not talking about you. But did you listen? Could I play for you something that a colleague of yours, Pellucid Perry, said? I mean, it's just distasteful that he doesn't take your view. And I'm saying to you, even if someone is charged, it does not mean that they are guilty. A charge means you are to go before the court to prove your guilt or innocent. But in Jamaica, if you hear that Neighbour is charged for raping somebody, then I am condemned already. I am going to be condemned.
Let me tell you something. You see, impression, it goes a long way. Impression goes a long way. And let me tell you something. The issue that I'm looking at that relates to what is happening in this country in terms of people in offices that demand certain level of purity. I am prepared to understand persons who would have gone the extra comment when certain things are right, because let me tell you something. It's not that what is happening in Jamaica isn't an ordinary institution. I've seen the Prime Minister the other day, for example, made a statement that he's hastened to tell Jamaica that he was not a part of the selecting the NARA CEO. When the NARA Act explicitly state that he has the sole prerogative to appoint the CEO.
No, who have the sole prerogative?
The Prime Minister.
But that is not what actually happened, Mr. Ingram. It was not the Prime Minister, and I heard Miss Nikisha Burchell with this matter, and I'm disappointed with that, because the Prime Minister did say that he actually stayed away from the process. So how is it that you are saying the Prime Minister's sole prerogative to appoint the?
No, I'm not saying. No, I am not saying that. I am not saying.
Can I chime in here?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Go ahead. Yeah, Chuck, come in.
Let me chime in first.
I mean, visit the state.
Mr. Ingram.
I'm not gonna have a conversation with Chuck, you know, I have no manners.
Mr. Ingram, there's a difference between there's a difference between appointing someone to a position and then being selected. Okay, sir?
Well, handpicked.
I cannot apply for a position, I go in for an interview, and then I'm selected for the interview and I get the job. The position I have to be appointed to can only be appointed by the Prime Minister. That doesn't mean the Prime Minister go interview somebody. It means after the process, I will appoint them to the position. The Prime Minister selects a police commissioner, and then it is make reference, and then the Governor General appoints him. The appointment of office is given by the Governor General. Mr. Ingram, you're smart.
You know what you're saying.
Mr. Ingram, you're smart enough to know this.
You're saying what you're saying semantics.
Mr. Ingram, you're smart enough to know this, but you also believe that your followers are dumb enough.
I have no followers. I have no followers.
That is what you take advantage.
I have no followers.
Neighbour is so correct when he speaks of the civics deficit, and you are one of them, Mr. Ingram, that is taking advantage of it. You are one of them, Mr. Ingram, that is dumbing down the Jamaican people for your political benefit. You are one of them, Mr. Ingram, that turn on the live and
I'm going to leave you here, never take yourself down here.
No, you are one of them, Mr. Ingram, that turn on your telephone every day and you light.
No, Ingram, no leave yet, man.
Then you go to church and you pretend to pray.
Well, Brother Ingram has left. All right, hold on there for me, Chuck. Hold on. Judith Hines, good night. Judith Hines. Okay. All right. Let me make this point before I go back to Chuck. It is important for us to understand processes. Very important. Because it will help us when we are evaluating people and when we are judging people. The Prime Minister is a citizen of Jamaica. Him being Prime Minister does not mean that he cannot challenge a process that involves himself. He is to be given that right. He has a right to challenge it. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And if the Prime Minister feels that he is being unfairly treated, he can go to court. As you can, as I can. Not a problem with that at all. And that don't mean that he feels that he has done something wrong. All right? So that should clarify that. It's 7:32. Actually 7:33. We go with you until 9 o'clock. All right, Chuck Finley. Yes, sir.
You see, neighbor, when Ingram come on there and tell you, the act says that he has the sole jurisdiction to appoint. Ingram, I am sure, know enough to know that the position to appoint doesn't mean to select. The appointment of office is different from the process that you go through to get the job. There still has to be an advertisement, an interview, and somebody has to be selected before they can be appointed.
Now,
what does that do? It gives the Prime Minister a little leverage. If you select one madman downtown, the Prime Minister don't have to appoint him because he's a madman for downtown. Right? But it doesn't mean the Prime Minister can himself go out and take up one madman downtown and appoint him to the job. Right? And Ingram knows these things, neighbor. But as you said, many of them are suffering from the civics deficit. And Ingram is one of them that take advantage of that. He comes on internet every day and he blatantly lies to the people. And when he comes in your presence now, he pretends to be this honest person who don't discuss certain things. Neighbor, Ingram is one of them. They put him live every day and tell the Prime Minister need to resign. The Prime Minister need to resign.
Is that so?
One of them. That is Ingram's argument.
Is that so? I
But
didn't
then
know.
when he comes here with you, he pretends to be somebody else.
Well,
He pretends to be somebody else, neighbor. And then he come and talk about how he live with integrity. The only way Ingram live with integrity, neighbor, is if that is the name of his wife.
Well, no. Well, Chuck, let me move you on a little though to the matter of there are some matters in the agricultural sector that are causing a little bit of problem. You want to help me the Parottee issue? You want to help me with it?
Neighbor, as the minister himself say.
Yes.
The member of parliament and the minister of agriculture say the thing is simple, neighbor. It's not a mass movement. The government is not going to go into parity and tell everybody to back up and leave.
Okay. Would before you get there, why did this matter become a matter of concern? The environment minister has stated that the priority is to restore the hurricane damaged wetlands. In other words, they want to remove the debris, the water flow, protecting the mangroves, strengthening the coastal resilience. You know, Chuck, I said it and I'm going to repeat it, that Jamaicans need to start doing a little bit of reading, and listen to the information and stop being misled, Chuck. That is part of the big problem we have,
It's the civics deficit that you coined earlier. It is definitely that, and people, neighbor, I do not know the answer to it, how to get people to gravitate to things that will actually help them. Because
the sensitive ecosystem of Parottee has to be protected because it is going to benefit the very people.
The very people. Parottee is a fishing village in the neighbor.
Yes.
A fishing village. If it is not protected, then probably 10 years from now, that community will die out naturally because there's nothing to sustain their livelihood. Neighbor, here is a problem we face, neighbor. Parottee is a community of probably about a couple thousand people. There was a demonstration down in Parottee where there was 5 persons sitting on a veranda, neighbor. And I have been told that at least 3 out of the 5 don't live there.
Yes.
At least 3 out of the 5 persons sitting on a veranda demonstrating in a community of a couple thousand persons don't live there, neighbor. So these people have troublemakers who like to get some viral moment, because the viral moments, neighbor, are what is considered red meat. For the red meat for the unintelligent people who follows them around everywhere, neighbor. So they create this little demonstration with 5 persons, and it is now on headline news that people in Parottee are demonstrating. Neighbor, if you have a community of 2,500 and 5 people are demonstrating, is that the community demonstrating?
Right.
It's just a few out of 5 people. The rest of the community is okay, because as the minister said, there are a few houses, neighbor, that cannot be rebuilt. Those people are gonna be relocated. There is no move to relocate the entire town of Parottee. That was communicated to the people in the community, but for political reasons, for people who choose to dumb down them fellow Jamaicans, they will take this up and they will run and tell you, say, how the matter move out the people of Parottee. Nothing is further from the truth. It's about protecting the ecosystem. It's about protecting the livelihood of these people.
But the people really not know about that, so they're not business about that.
Not the people, the handful, neighbor, the handful, not the people, the handful. There's a handful of people down there, neighbor, that is being politically driven to do and say things that they don't even understand what they're speaking or doing. But somebody is going to benefit from it politically. And that is more important than even the livelihood of the people that them claims to care about, neighbor.
Yes. So the real question is not whether it is to arrive at the balance, the interest of the people and protecting the agricultural environment.
Mm-hmm. That is it, neighbor. And the balance is there, neighbor, is that there's some people, neighbor, you know that there are a couple of houses in there that was covered underwater during the storm. literally covered, neighbor. Now, would it be safe for you to put back those persons at that same spot? Knowing the environment that we live in right now, could you contents build back house, give those people at that same spot that is now vulnerable to sea surge?
Yes. So the government, the Jamaica Observer is actually saying is that the government is trying to restore the wetlands to preserve the environment.
To preserve the environment, neighbor, to give back the ecosystem where the fish can start coming back to nurse, and therefore the livelihood of the people can continue. It is simple, neighbor. Now, it is the same government, neighbor, that they're going to call up and when the fish start come there. Same government, when the fish start come there and the community is dying, is the same. They're going to call up on. But what they don't believe is that we have a government and a minister that is proactive, not reactive, proactive. We see what is coming and is attempting to put something in place to stop it.
Yeah. What is the position of the government as far as you are concerned to address the concerns of the residents?
Well, it is simple, neighbor. The government is meeting with people on the ground. The government has already laid out this plan that some people, not the whole community, some people will be relocated. The ecosystem will be rebuilt and life will continue, neighbor. It is not difficult, neighbor. It's just it's troublemaker that is making this thing seems difficult in a neighbor. It's not something difficult. It's a transition that is gonna affect probably about 10 or 20 households or so. Not a lot.
Well,
right. Just about 10 or 20 households will be affected by the move. So when they are telling you that the government is gonna move, neighbor, these people are just. These people have already selected project for Nara when the chief himself said, listen to me, the next couple of months we'll be building out our operational base, so we never start select project yet. But they have already tell you how listen, the deficit is strong, and people like Ingram who come on here and pretend to be somebody of great virtue lies to the people them every day and dumb them down. And as in just tell you say, man, do it for free, can not get beer. Why don't know the people for free?
Asking everyone to tap the screen and share the live, please.
On another issue, Chuck, there is a video going around where Member of Parliament Nikisha Burchell is suggesting that the Prime Minister handpicked Major General Anderson. Clearly, Chuck, this is the new strategy to discredit the head of NARA. From yesterday, I have called for a formal response from the party. What's your view on such a comment coming from a legislator, Chuck?
Well, neighbor, you see, the Jamaica runs a risk, neighbor. At some time in the near future, we are gonna run out of people that are willing to serve this country. We're gonna run out of qualified people that are willing to put up their hands and gonna serve my country. If the trend of the PNP continues, whereby everybody who puts up their hand to serve, their character is assassinated in the public, but with lies, neighbor, then we're gonna run out of people who are willing to serve, and that is the risk we are running right now. They are doing it to Anthony Anderson right now, the man that has served the military for most of his life, served the Jamaica Constabulary for most of his life, and now he's serving as an ambassador.
You remember a man by the name of Vin Lawrence?
He was codenamed as God.
Don't comment much on that. But I hear them saying that Major Anderson is the Prime Minister's friend. Now, to be the advisor to a man means that he has to be your friend. I mean, really, Chuck. I feel that this matter ought to get some more attention, because Nara is so important that I believe that the people of Jamaica ought to believe that what is going to happen or come out of Nara, it is something that they can trust. But clearly the PNP is determined to discredit Nara. For some reason, I don't know why.
But the PNP Neighbour is a party that would prefer to rule over the ashes rather than the high rise.
Oh.
If burning down the country is what they feel will benefit them, then they will do that. And they have been trying to get the country to in a state of unrest for the longest while, Neighbour, and they're still pushing that. Every turn they are trying to tell people, oh, it's time to rise up and take back this. Neighbour, it's just simple to create unrest. Something happened to the PNP in 1999. And they have not forgotten up until this time. Remember the gas riot of 1999 when the country rise up against them?
Yes.
They have not forgotten that, Neighbour, and they have been trying to trigger that same response against the Jamaica Labour Party. But what happened to them in 1999 was a natural response and not a political response. And they have been trying to get a political response, Neighbour, and it's not working. Now, Neighbour, you're right. I believe the party need to put out a very strong statement rebuking Nikisha Burchett for her statement. And
call for a retraction. Because the evidence suggests that that Anderson applied.
Anderson applied, Anderson was selected, and Anderson is qualified. And Anderson is an engineer by profession, Neighbour, a trained engineer. Now, common sense to me that a chartered accountant will be best served to run the FID, the Financial Investigation Division, and an engineer will be best suited to run the rebuilding process of Jamaica. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just simply how I look at it.
Yeah. One more matter, Chuck. I've been around for a while, so have you. I feel that we are in an election campaign, and it's a very unfortunate feeling. Our election was 7 months ago, and it seems like the political activism on the ground has not died down. Jamaica, since the election, really have not settled down to get on with governing. There is the fierce political battle. My understanding, and I learned this just today, that, well, between yesterday and today, that there is a real fear that the Prime Minister is positioned to win a fourth term, and it is giving the PNP quite a bit of problem. They're having a meltdown inside there because wholeness must be stopped. Do you think that that is just the challenge, that wholeness seem poised for a fourth term, and that would kind of be the death of the PNP, that the election has started so quickly?
Neighbour, that is exactly correct. It never stopped, Neighbour. It never stopped.
But isn't it the first time in Jamaica that you can remember that after an election the country don't settle down?
The first time, Neighbour, the very first time. I know.
Why?
I said it every day, because, Neighbour, we have an opposition that is hungry for power, Neighbour.
But they couldn't wait until even year 3, Chuck. I mean, 7 months.
Neighbour, it's for power. It's for power, Neighbour. They are hungry for power. They're not hungry for leadership, they're hungry for power. That is what they're driven for. We want power. So they are taking every step that they can to actually tear down the government. Now, they know an election is not due, which is why they are trying to cause unrest. So, Neighbour, they are trying to now take the shortcut.
So do you think that we probably need to look at some legislation to allow for an election period? Because we can't operate like this, Chuck. The country must settle down. Oppositions are important for holding government accountable, but we can't campaign for 5 years, man.
Neighbour, we do have an election period, and we are looking to change it. But the very same man is standing in the way of that change. Neighbour, in 2014, Mark Golden and Justice Minister made a move, which most of us probably don't understand it until now. When he put legislation that removed the criminal aspect from our liable laws, which means you can sue a man for any form of liable, but there's no criminal to it. You can sue him and try to get some financial recourse, but there's no criminal aspect to it. There's no jail time to be faced. And now we are seeing where people believe that they can just turn on a phone, go on the internet and say anything they want about anybody because there's no consequences to their action. There is no criminal aspect to their action. Now, Mark Golding was thinking about this time in Jamaica from way back in 2014 when they removed that portion of the law. And we are going through it now, Neighbour, something happened yesterday, Friday, and it gave me hope that regardless of the noise and social media, people in Jamaica have better things to do. There was a gentleman on social media creating the havoc for the last couple of days, trying to start up demonstration and people must come out and demonstrate with him. Well, yesterday, I am 5 people was at the spot where he meet for his demonstration. 5 people.
Is that so?
5 somebody go there with him, neighbor. 5 of them. So even though he had a petition online that had over 20,000 signature, neighbor.
Well, he only got 20. He only got 20,000.
Only got 20,000. Some there about. They got probably about 25, I think. When he ready to go stand up and demonstrate, 5 somebody out there with him, neighbor.
Oh wow! You expected any more?
When I expect even at this they come to go join him, neighbor, but when they come down to it, they have better things to do.
Well,
because in Jamaica today, neighbor, you can't have demonstration on a working day. Too much people at work.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
You can't call demonstration on working day, neighbor, because the Jamaica Labour Party has put close to 300,000 people to work since taking office.
Yes.
So people busy. If you want demonstration, drive past Sunday when less people are going.
Yeah. Isn't it fascinating though, Chuck, and a real commendation from the government that they have been put under so much pressure, yet they have remained focused and are delivering for the people of Jamaica. I put it to you, Chuck, that if Jamaica grows, the PNP woes will increase. There's an argument, Chuck, that the more Jamaica thrives, the more the PNP dies. You think it is true?
I am 100% in support of that argument.
Oh my!
100%. Neighbor, I've said this on many occasions that if you want to know if something is good for Jamaica, look on which side of the PNP started. If you want to know if something is good for the country, look on which side of it the PNP started. Everything that is good for this country, the PNP is on record has been against it. So if you want to think about Naira, the PNP is against it, so Naira is something good for this country. Right? Simply put.
Well, Chuck Finney, thank you, man.
No problem, neighbor. You know where all this here passing.
Respect, and big up.
All right.
Brother P, 8 minutes to 8 o'clock. We go with you until 9. Brother P, you have a Marvin pitch up there. Open your microphone, sir, and let's talk. Let me hear what's on your mind. Brother P, not there. Hello, no. Okay, let's jump over to TV Man. Good evening to you, TV Man. Hello, TV Man. Oh, yeah, you have to open your microphone. Let's go. Time is going here. The Sunday evening program here is moving quite a pace. TV Man, who else do we have? All right, let's go back over to Honeybee.
Yes, neighbor.
You're still there. You've been listening. What's on your mind?
Well, listening to what Chuck is saying, make a whole lot of sense. You see, the thing is, what they want to do is confuse the people. And if the people don't understand what is being offered and what is going to happen to their community, they are going to be up in arms. And that's what the PNP is trying to get to. Right? But unfortunately, people now in Jamaica tends to start to listen, because when the Prime Minister speak, the way he put the point across, you have no other choice than to listen. And that's where the PNP is having an issue. They don't know how to communicate. They only know how to make noise. And that's what causing the Prime Minister to have that point over them, because they can't reach the people that they expect to reach. So even if they're out there spreading their lies, it's not getting them the momentum that they expect or that they need. And that is good as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But however, I need the people to understand.
Yes.
That if you have been squatting on a land that is not yours, and somebody's paying tax for this land. It's somebody's land. And if you have you get an option to get somewhere else to live, that will be your little space. Wouldn't that be better than squatting?
Yes.
You see what we do in this country, neighbor, we normalize squatting. And every time it comes to people talking about people squatting, they say, we don't like poor people. It's always like poor people. I remember coming down, and I see coming down across the bridge, and a sergeant come and just come out, sweep up in the yard, and he just dump everything in the gully. And I'm like, what the heck? And there's a garbage truck. Why don't you bag it up? But that's it, and they will tell you. Then you see other people are down. A gentleman said to me from the barn, he never seen mother put out garbage. She just throw it over the gully. So I said, you're a father now, don't you think you can change the cycle and teach your children something else? Since you know that's not the way. And I said, but whenever you have a flood and the house get washed out, you blame government. And who is the problem? I said to one of them, I said, remember this. Neither the opposition leader or the Prime Minister house won't be flooded out. You are the one who will be flooded out. So think of your action.
Fantastic.
And that's
hold on for me, Honeybee. Hello, Scratchy.
Night, neighbor.
How are you, Scratchy?
I'm here, neighbor. I'm chilling.
Scratchy, tell me a little bit about civic literacy. How important is that, and how can we begin to shift the society away from propaganda and from misinformation towards fact? It's a serious gap in the country, Scratchy. What is your view on it?
It goes back to our culture, neighbor. I always tell that neighbor that what we call our culture, neighbor, that a lot of us are that we are loved for around the world, neighbor. From a domestic standpoint, neighbor, it is also our biggest hindrance to growth. It is also our biggest setback. You know, a lot of the things that we call our culture, a lot of the things that we crave, a lot of the things that we like, neighbor. Jamaica, whether we want to believe it or not, neighbor, Jamaica is a country, neighbor, that we run on hearsay. You know, we listen to reply, we don't listen to get an understanding. We run on sound bites, we run on headlines. So it's all made up in our culture, neighbor. That is why it is so easy for misinformation and disinformation to thrive in a society.
You mean if I start to tell some lies here, my numbers are going to go up to 1,000?
Your number will definitely go up to 1,000, neighbor.
Then why not let us start lying?
Because neighbor, we won't be doing that only this justice to our country, but
in a way, if we play to the gallery, we'll do better.
Yes, from a number standpoint, we'll definitely do better.
And taps and roses.
And taps and roses, but how would we feel ourselves? How we go to bed comfortable in the night and know that we are misleading the nation and I tell people propaganda and misinformation. So Jamaica suffer from a cultural problem, neighbor. A lot of things that we are suffering from right now is things that were social. They were social disorders, neighbor, and they were allowed over an extended period of time to become social norm.
But why is it? I'm so sorry, sir. Why is it, Scratchy, that if the government comes out and clarifies, for example, look at this Parottee matter, the minister clarifies it. He puts the facts out. Why does the lie continues?
Because neighbor, there's persons who have some form of benefit to gain, neighbor, if the lie continues, neighbor. There are persons who benefit. There's a political organization called the People's National Party who benefit from these type of things because they are going to put the government in a position to say, okay, the government will come take on the place, someone, the government will give hotel, will sell on the place to hotels, and create a narrative in the people mind, neighbor, so that they can strive and tell the people themselves, vote for we, and we won't make no hotel come down there, we will be going to live in the same condition, where every year in the house, you're covering the water, and I go out on the house for 6-3 months, all type of unnecessary disease and infection. That's our PNP, the neighbor. That's our PNP strive for.
Would you believe me, sir, that I heard L.A. Lewis, and I'm repeating this because I hope it doesn't affect anyone. You know, I heard L.A. Lewis saying that Donald Trump give Andrew Holness millions of dollars for the warship to come to Jamaica. And you know, Scratchy, you know how much likes and share that video got?
Exactly, neighbor.
I mean, come now, Scratchy. That's no foolishness, man. Why would Jamaicans believe something like that?
And neighbor, we have to understand, neighbor, again, I say it's a culture, neighbor. We live in a country that is politically divided, neighbor. We don't want to believe it or not. I tell you this all the while, that as long as they have PNP, they will always be Labour right. As long as they have Labour right, they will always be PNP. Our country is politically divided. And information that is coming from government, neighbor, whenever it is released, it is received from a point of bias. It is received with
So a Labour writer said that?
A Labour writer said that it is received with some form of bias, neighbor, so the whole country don't take on to the information. They stew it and chew it in their own way, how they want to move it now, to suit their own political narrative and say, yes, is this a go on, not that what them say.
In other words, when Nikisha Burchell said that Anderson was appointed, was handpicked, no matter what you put out, that's what PNP hold.
PNP will hold that, neighbor. You can't change PNP mind on that. You cannot change PNP mind on that, and you will never change PNP mind on that. That is what PNP will hold. How will they know the actual truth? And guess what? The leadership and the party who them look to come clarity and make person understand say, no, this is not all government system where you went to an interview and stuff like that. They not do it and them a push narrative. And them a push narrative. Then
Scratchy, well, you are always honest with me. Do you see Jamaica advancing at pace under this type of political tribal culture?
No, neighbor. No country in the world, not Jamaica alone.
Well then, when they, with the greatest of respect on this Sunday evening, Scratchy, if this is how we are going to operate, then our development is going to be stifled. It doesn't matter how you love Labour Party and how strong a Labour right you are. The reality is that such a system inhibits the development of a nation.
Neighbor, our development is already being stifled, neighbor. No country in the world, neighbor, can ever strive under this type of political divisiveness, neighbor. Coming from the opposition, neighbor. Both political parties, neighbor, going to the parliament and make up the government and opposition. And everyone can agree and say, okay, the bureaucracy and the red tape is making the process slow for us to advance and reach the true potential. All right, now the government come with a bill, the opposition sit there and debate on the bill, neighbor, create one type of havoc from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 the next morning. They made amendments were accepted, and them still vote against the bill. What are
distressing?
It is gonna be, neighbor, it is not gonna be easy. The advancement of Jamaica is not gonna be something easy. Neighbor, for a country to advance, neighbor, you have to have consensus. When I say consensus, I'm talking about consensus from both political organization and the political will of the party. The political will is holding back the development.
In other words, they can disagree in terms of the path to take, but whether we should take the path or not, we should agree on that.
Well, okay, we can disagree on the way, but we need to take that path. We're not seeing that type of cohesiveness with government and opposition in Jamaica. We're not seeing a certain level of collaborativeness of opposition and government in Jamaica. If you look at how divided even the thing is, neighbor, if you look at even our two leaders, two totally different individuals, neighbor. One who's trying to create some form of calmness, trying to create some form
of... It doesn't even look like Mr. Golin like the Prime Minister.
Neighbor, I don't know what Mr. Golin's problem here, but I am telling the neighbor that current style, it's going to be hard to develop because every single thing is going to be politicized. And this is one of the reasons why you see the Prime Minister strategically, neighbor, try to keep the politics out of Nara, because Nara is so consequential, neighbor. Nara is a bill, neighbor, that there's a lot of things in Nara bill that when Nara start to execute, neighbor, what the opposition is doing right now, neighbor, is only muddy in the water. So that when time these things should come and take place, neighbor, it is going to be seen like it is political. It is not going to be seen like it is one-sided because of what the PNP is doing. They are muddy in the water so that Nara don't get to carry out its true potential. Because as I said before, Nara is going to ask communities with informal settlements to persons to be relocated. PNP don't want those type of stuff. So they must set up Nara as a political thing already. And the Prime Minister trying to take the politics out of Nara. But Jefferson Golden neighbor is pushing it 100% for Nara.
Boy, I tell you, this is a big problem in Jamaica then. Well, Scratchy, if that is so, then we would have to evaluate the achievements that the government have made. It makes them even look more impressive.
Yeah, but the government is very, very impressive, neighbor. As I said before, neighbor, the government does need to launch a massive public campaign, neighbor. There are a lot of funding out of NARA. You can launch a public education site to NARA, neighbor. Change the traditional way you do this public education. Don't go waste your bag of money with traditional media. Like your prime time advertisement and stuff like that. Create programs with bloggers. Create programs with content creators. Go directly into schools. Create a school program if you want to get artists and entertainers involved. Create a program going into school where it is all about NARA. Create a NARA song competition. Which high school can create the best NARA song competition and get $2 million? Which high school can create the best NARA logo? All of these things are schools if we have pushed them things upon so that these kids grow up and have an appreciation for NARA because of them have come growing in NARA and them have come advance in NARA. If we have over 300,000 right students right now in a school, and we have another 45 to nearly 50,000 who might old school this year, or who are old school, 36 to 40,000 students old school every year. But if you target that group, the neighbor, man, 36 to 40,000 new voters are big me and that. These people can change the political landscape. And when we target them, it is full-time the government of the day realize that our current way how we target people, our current way of doing things, it is not working. But directly into the schools, Mr. Prime Minister, them people are them already bent and them mind already set up against you, and no matter where you do, them not gonna like you. Go get the young students in the school with their mind fresh, who have an ability, who really like technology, who really want to see the country advance, because them can go on them smartphone and do many things on them smartphone. And you only can do that if Jamaica is advanced. The people that move against Jamaica and the neighbor, and the people that move against online banking, and the people that move against neighbor the fast movement of the country, and the people that move against neighbor anything that has to do with the technological advance of the country. And them people are all by the country because they're stuck in an analog way, neighbor. And they just believe that Jamaica can continue to work in an analog way, neighbor. A digital world, we know. That's why we have a post-independence Prime Minister. Target the schools, Mr. Prime Minister. Get them young students here, 2030, the 16-year-old them, and them we are going to ask them vote. Why not let them understand and appreciate government from now? Make them know about NARA and all the government program, neighbor. Have to target them
and they're less tribal.
And they're less tribal, neighbor. They're willing to learn. They have the appetite to learn. They're in the state of learning right now. And they can go home, neighbor, and redirect some of them last parents, and them uncle will last, and them auntie will last. About the advancement of Jamaica, neighbor, is no longer just government issue, where it was just government failing, neighbor, like in the 90s. Right now, government is doing their part, neighbor. And I can tell you, neighbor, that Jamaica is now failing from a personal development part. But that's a personal development part. I mean, as personal citizens, we are not aligned with the vision of the government.
Yes.
And once you are lead a country and majority of your population is not in line with the vision of the government, that country is bound to fail. Because the government already outlined its vision, the government already outlined its policy, and if you are going against that and not trying to put yourself in line where you match the reality of what the government do, you're going to fail and you're going to blame the government. And that's going on in Jamaica right now, neighbor. The government change up its policy, the government set up policy, but all that we see and say nothing are going for them, neighbor, are persons who don't align themselves all now with the vision and the mission of the government. And you cannot live in our country and believe that you can go against whatever policy and program the government put in place and think that you're going to be profitable, and you're going to be rich, and you're going to reach, and you're going to reach a level. You have to get in line with what the government put in place, and that's why people are feeling Jamaica, neighbor, because the government put in this in place, and you are going to do your own, I think I believe, say, what the government do, you have to go sign too much documents, and you have to go to too much people. Neighbor, all who are making it in Jamaica, all who are benefit right now, are people who put them vision in line with the realities of the government, neighbor, and a match government policies, and a match government programs. That are the people. All who not going for them, there are persons, neighbor, who this new style and this new government approach, them cannot keep up with.
Yeah. Let's go to the guest online there. I think it's Prezi, and see what that caller has to say. Good evening to you. Hello, Prezi 45. Hello, Prezi 45. No, not there at all. Connecting. Connecting the dot. Yes, sir. What's happening? What you have anything to add here?
Very good outline there by as usual by Scratchy. Scratchy needs to see changes here. He has more than scratch the surface.
Oh.
Much has been made. You see, a lot of this propaganda, disinformation and misinformation that is being spread all over the place. There are persons who are being coerced into believing some of what they are hearing by the repetition. So we have to really guard our minds. Much has been said about this corruption issue involving the Jamaica Labour Party and the Prime Minister in particular. So a lot of persons, believe that there's an issue with the PM's statutory declaration. A lot of Jamaicans, including some support, including JB supporters, without having the facts. So somebody like me now, who would have had decades in the investigation for all major crimes, would have had some serious questions to ask in relation to what was presented to us. For example, with an investigation is best done as quickly as the information comes to you. When the IC sent the matter at the back end to the FID, I've immediately formed the view that this was to keep it in the public domain.
Yes.
Because the IC and the FID should carry the investigation together to make it more effective and to make more sense of it. When the FID and TAJ. So we really have to continue what we are doing here to edify persons about what this country is about and where the country is going. We should also remind people that what has been achieved so far has been achieved in the face of 3 major disasters nationally, i.e. hurricane. Well, before that, we had the COVID pandemic in 2020. And by 2024, we were hit by Beryl. And as if that wasn't enough, Melissa hit us directly in 2025, October.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Now, we also had our factory, Russia and Ukraine.
No, we're not getting him at all. Let's move over.
Bad enough. Israel, America is involved, and Iran. You not hearing me?
Not hearing you at all. No, not hearing him at all.
Hi, excuse me, neighbor.
No, yeah.
Hi, neighbor.
Everybody hearing me?
Hold on, no man.
Yeah, so the guest, maybe stay on topic without talking about any of those other extra things going on in the world right now.
Yeah, okay. Let's jump over to protecting. Good evening to you, sir. Hello, Protecting Jamaica. I don't know that these people are ready at all. Let's go back to Scratchy. Scratchy? Scratchy? All right. You know what? We don't have anyone online here. Hello, Scratchy? Okay. All right, 14 minutes after 8 o'clock. We here on a Sunday and trying to see if we can unravel quite a number of issues affecting Jamaica. What with the whole matter of civic literacy or civic illiteracy, quite an interesting topic. Our guests all seems to be on time. Let's go back in and see if we have protecting. Protecting? No, we don't. We have Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor.
Scratchy, you were suggesting that the people of Jamaica ought to be aligned to the vision of the government. Develop that a little bit more for me.
Yes, neighbor. If you look at all functioning democracy, neighbor, that are thriving, neighbor, you always realize, neighbor, that government create the policies, government create the programs, neighbor, government create the environment so friendly, where the ease of doing business, neighbor, is readily accessible, is readily available, neighbor. And then now, neighbor, the citizens now are the mass of that country in return now, neighbor, align their goals, their vision, and their aspiration towards those policies and programs that are outlined by government. Because the government controls the economy. The government is the policy. The government is like the principal.
Yes.
So when you look at how those countries operate, neighbor, you find out, okay, because of that style, neighbor, you find you have persons who manage to go through the formal education system, get themselves educated to a level, come out, get a job, can take care of them and their family to a certain level, get a mortgage, get a home, you know, and try to live a little middle class type of living. But when you go back to Jamaica now, neighbor, and you look at our society, neighbor, you look at how unruly and how lawless our society is, neighbor.
Yes.
Majority of the persons, neighbor, who are not seeing their way, neighbor, is because it's either they don't have no vision at all, neighbor, or if they do have a vision, neighbor, it is totally against whatever policies and program the government, neighbor, who controls the economy, put in place. So these persons are always going to come, neighbor, and try to create some form of havoc and try to make it look like the reality of their life is the same as every single Jamaican neighbor. As a person in the comments that talk all type of things, a specific person said this, I said that. But neighbor, not because your life or you're in a particular situation, neighbor, that doesn't represent the mass. I feel like believe that because I am living this way, or because you go to one particular community and you see a set of people living a certain way, you're going to come now and say that, okay, this is how the whole Jamaica is living. Neighbor, Jamaicans, neighbor, are living, I'm not going to say Jamaicans are living good. I'm not going to tell you that things is wonderful, neighbor, things is where we want it to be, neighbor, but I can definitely tell you that things is not where it used to be.
Uh-huh.
If Jamaicans, neighbor, Jamaicans should get their priorities right, neighbor. A lot of persons, neighbor, if they should just focus on the core fundamentals of life, neighbor, which is providing food, providing shelter, neighbor, make sure that they're meeting their bills one time and then to the neighbor. Jamaicans are in a much better position, neighbor. A lot of money run around through these people and neighbor, but these people put this money, neighbor, into things, neighbor, where they don't have no form of return to gain back on them investment on them money, neighbor. And now when time them go buy the week for 45,000 and 50,000 for them birthday, and next week them broke, it's them same one come cost government. When in fact, neighbor, these people don't have them priorities right. Because if you have your priorities right and you live within your means, neighbor, you're supposed to can survive no matter where you live, as long as you're living within your means. And I don't think that things are so bad. Our prices is so bad in Jamaica, neighbor, where a person working or they cannot live within their means. You understand, neighbor? If you went out there and get 4 children, neighbor, and you decide to come work and a minimum wage job, where you're getting 17,000 a week, God forbid, and you realize that 17,000 neighbor cannot function in your life, and then you're going to turn around and curse the government and say government now look for poor people. You know why that happened? Because you weren't in line with the government policies and program. You already have an idea of the rate of the minimum wage, and whatever parent and child you will get, it must be in line within the minimum wage of what your personal income be. Whether you can financially manage a child on this salary or not. But they're not seeing it that way, neighbor. Everybody blame government. Everybody blame government.
Yeah, that is right.
Just get our priorities right, and I will see how we live, man. Neighbor, I live in a country where people might be considered middle class, neighbor. And despite them being considered middle class, neighbor, they're not considered middle class because they have no work of cash, neighbor. They are considered middle class, neighbor, because they might have pay a mortgage for a house of value $1 million Canadian dollars. You get me?
Uh-huh.
They are considered minimum middle class, neighbor, because they manage, neighbor, for them job with them, they can meet their monthly expenses. Now, they go outside of them means, neighbor. I live in a country, neighbor. I can't, neighbor, when I come to this country, This country gave me a total different appreciation, neighbor, for how I manage money and how I deal with certain things, neighbor. People have them priorities straight, neighbor, man. Rent, utilities, bills, key thing in the neighbor, man. People are playing with them in them place here, neighbor, man. But Jamaican neighbor, nobody live free, neighbor. Nobody have no social responsibility to the country, neighbor, and to themselves. So the mere fact you don't want no social responsibility, and you don't want a social responsibility yourself, neighbor, you're going to live frivolous, you're going to live wild, and you're going to live free because you want no social responsibility to the country. You have no tie, you have no financial ties to the country when it comes to mountain time. So what you going to do? Or you're going to complain government to everything, neighbor? The people just get them priority right when you see things change. I'm telling you.
Yeah, quite true. Hold on there a little for me. You ready now, protecting?
Mic check. Good evening. Neighbor, you hear me?
I am hearing you, sir. What's on your mind?
Good evening, family. Good evening, guests, and good evening, listeners. Neighbor, you know, earlier today, this was the very same conversation I participated in earlier. It was for a short time, though, because, you know, I'm so busy, but it is an important conversation to have in a neighbor.
Which one?
The same conversation we have it now.
Okay,
The same conversation we need to have every day until somebody with some sense starts to listen. And you see, sometimes I feel so pleased with myself that I really pay attention to these issues so much that I understand how they work, understand the moving parts. Now, neighbor, you and I may understand one of the established positions of psychology that teaches, and this is backed by research, that people can be taught what to think. You're familiar with that term, neighbor?
Well, of course. As a matter of fact, you can actually condition people.
Simple. And that is the reason why the practice of psychology is so dangerous and it is closely monitored. People have to be licensed and so on. Very important. Somebody's mic is open. Now, with this said, I have been thumping the bear for quite a while. Guess who understands this? The PNP understands this. And that is the reason why on their planning committee, the PNP always have at least three psychologists, sometimes two, to plan their messaging, plan their approach. Because
The difficulty with that, though you know, protecting, and this aligns with a research I've been doing, is that the PNP, with all their psychologists and their philosophical postures, are not campaigning to a Jamaica that is very much listening to them, you know. I think the people they are campaigning to is shrinking, and they are not breaking through. Now, if you are hoping to control people a particular way and the people are changing, that is also psychological too, you know. In other words, when my position in life changes, it affects how I think. I will tell you something. Hold on. You know, sir, that if a man drives a Probox, and respect to all the Probox drivers, and he takes that Probox to a car walk, to the market, he will throw the produce in the back. But you know, if you give that man a Mercedes Benz, he's not going to do that. He's going to spread out a piece of newspaper. Why?
Right, because of the value that he places on one.
When you change people's environment, it changes their thinking.
Right.
And there is a sense in which the environment in Jamaica is changing, and it is also changing the thinking of the people. Don't you think so?
Yes, man. That is very well so.
And that is part of the problem that I think the PNP faces, is that they are hoping that the people will be stuck into 30 years ago. They always win. They'll always win if the people are going to believe that. But before the people, they are changed. Jamaica is changing, you know, sir.
Yes, it is. I am not concerned about the problems that the PNP are having. something was said earlier. I think it was by you or by Chuck in the earlier part of the conversation, because I joined when Chuck was speaking, that the government or the minister had to come out to clarify something. Now, I look at these things a little bit deeper. You see, there is still enough of those people in areas in Jamaica, especially let's consider Parottee now, since we're talking about Parottee. You really think that there would not be a covert mission to tell these people that a TV government want to take the beach from them? Because something like beach and beach access, and you have access to this for generations, from your father to your grandfather when you listen to
but protecting that also has something to do with the people themselves. You know, I hold on for me. You know, I was in the bank yesterday, and I must tell you the truth. I said to myself, if I should really speak how I feel on this program, I probably will get into trouble. A lot of Jamaicans can't use one ATM in a song. And I'm telling you that this is a society that its government in the past failed them. These are people that are not able to function. They're not able to function in the economy that is being created. It's a part of the problem.
That's where I'm going, neighbor. That's where I'm going. Because look, if we know that this is the usual approach of a group of people, then proactive approach from their opponent should tell them that you should prepare for this and you should make some preemptive moves, because things that are sensitive as these, you know what they do? It's not that the process of rebuilding and resettling is going to stop your neighbor. It is what will happen between the rebuilding and the resettling that causes delay. There's a certain saying that says delay is danger, and especially in this context, Harry clearly stated it at one point in another program, that there is a sunset situation on these loans. I don't believe that the opponents of the government think that they can stop the process. But I know what they are thinking, that if they can delay it, then you can probably cause the funding to go away, and then it won't happen.
But I beg you, I beg you, help me. And I don't have a lot of time. But I beg you, how is it? Because protecting Jamaica, I believe that political communication helps to an extent. But when you have a society that is literally undereducated, and for 40, some of these people are 40, 50 years, and I stood in the bank yesterday, and I almost cried, because as I watched my people, the citizens of Jamaica, attempting to draw money out of a machine, they cannot read the screen, they can't use the ATM machine, and I said to myself, somebody failed these people, because when I was in grade 6 at primary school, I was reading. You know, protecting Jamaica. How do you communicate to people who are struggling to the very basic?
So where I was going, neighbor, is that an efficient government an effective government and an efficient society does not just come about by way of adding technology, machines, making processes a little faster. An efficient society and a government will be deemed effective when the citizenry can use these things, when the citizenry understand what the government is doing.
Absolutely. That is what Strategy is talking about, aligning people's individual aspirations with government.
We have a problem, and you alluded to part of the problem just now. 18 years and 7 months had set back Jamaica for about 45 years of its development. When you really think about that and put it in the context, the Prime Minister now have a basket to carry water.
But where were you last week when we were engaging in this very discussion? Where were you?
Neighbor, me busy. Summer started.
No, the cost of collapse. We were talking about it.
Yes.
That
yes,
Holness
I
has
heard
been
a part of that
Holness has
discussion.
been blamed for what he inherited.
What he inherited, what he did not cause. I listened in every now and again.
But don't you understand that it is part of the part of the failure of the party to continue to drill that into people?
But that is where I'm going also, Neighbor, because you know my position on that. Because you already know that there is this deficit. You already know how your opponents think. Why can't you? It is going to be costly. Neighbor, I don't know if you remember some time ago I said to you that politics now in the 21st century, going in the 22nd century, is going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
It is going to be very expensive,
yeah.
especially in a developing society that has been held back and is so far behind.
Yeah.
Now, just imagine somebody who lives on the seashore.
Yeah.
Them house was just underwater.
Yeah.
Them know that it's risky. But that's all them know. And there's nobody else to sensibly, coherently message to them, minister to them as you are a preacher. Minister to their inner soul for them to understand that, listen me, this is now an end to an era that you have lived through, that you occupy this space.
In other words, you have to convince them against their own interest, self-interest.
Teach people what to think. I go right back to where I started. And guess what? That situation, that psychology highlights, is an important thing to understand. We have a society that we just run right into political independence coming out of slavery. People don't understand this.
It's a fascinating discussion you are having here in the Protecting. It's really a fascinating discussion, you know, because I think a lot of people, and this is where you have to put wholeness in context. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think that he gets the type of respect, even from his party, in terms of his ability and what he is trying to do with Jamaica. It is a hard job, you know, Protecting. It's not only to build the
part of the problem is we're not teaching people to respect all. You see, again, it goes right back to where I started, because I've been thinking about this for weeks. It's one of the basic positions. And remember, psychology has to do with the mind and cognitive development and how people think, how people operate in a society, their surrounding, their environments that shape the thought, the actions, and so on. We are not, the party is not effectively teaching. All right, you still have the base, the foundation thinking of the country, because people have this love affair with the PMP. They were taught to love the PMP. Even when the PMP never did do nothing for advance Jamaica, they were effectively taught to love the PMP.
And as a matter of fact, Protecting, if I may chime in, anyone who anyone who thinks that is not true, they don't know Jamaican politics.
Yes, they don't.
Hold on. It is like somebody that you love to give fish, and you never teach them to fish. What they have learned is that anytime they see you, they say fish.
They might get that fish, yes.
And so much of them love you, you know, the fish they love.
Yes.
You know, so
the memory of the fish keeps
and so they love the PNP so much, you know, and what the PNP represent, the under the table thing, the little links thing, the food
the
thing,
corner,
you know, this kind of status, right? The disorder.
So they were literally taught and coached to accept and appreciate that kind of looseness and depraved behavior, poverty. They were taught to love poverty, neighbor. Now, I will admit that it is going to take some time to recondition their minds. But look at it. At the end of this term, we're going to be 15 years in.
Speak to me, and I'm rushing you along because I'm really sorry. The Labour Party, though, would have won 3 consecutive elections. And that says to me that slowly but surely, wholeness is breaking. Yeah?
Yes, slowly but surely, the society is changing, the thinking is changing. But the risk, all right, look at it. We live in a
zone which is a disaster zone, call it that. Just for argument's sake. We have experienced 2 hurricanes and 1 tropical storm in the past 18 months. No, that's not normal, you know. How do you develop a country, especially if you're trying to go at pace, in an environment like that? No, understanding these things, understanding these variables should tell you and the team, you have to put some things in place to cover the government while the Prime Minister is working. So again, Neighbour, the strategy here, which I heard a few days ago, is to delay, because they know now that they can't stop NARA and the process that NARA will bring to bear. So the strategy is to delay.
In other words, a thriving Jamaica spells death for the PNP.
Death for the PNP.
Simply by how they campaign.
And Jamaica is thriving, so the PNP is in fact dying. And there goes the situation. It's like a man hanging on to a straw. He missed 500 pounds and he hang on one piece of grass.
Yeah.
In one pan.
My understanding, protecting, is that there is a great possibility that Wholeness is looking good for a 4th term. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And even the worst PNP supporter know that it not go easy to beat for a 4th term. And for a government on its 3rd term looking so damn good. If I was in opposition, I would be worried too.
Neighbour, it does not look good for the opposition.
All right. No, if
it
that
don't look good for next year at the local government, and it don't look good for 2030.
That means, and the reason it doesn't look good is that Jamaica and Jamaicans are seeing a different Jamaica from what the PNP is out there putting up on TV. In other words, you did there say the house is on fire, and I'm looking around and I'm wondering, where is the fire?
But Neighbour, what is also happening is that there are also a bunch of confused Jamaicans.
But to what extent are they sufficient to give the PNP a win?
Remember, Neighbour, the political participation, even though it cracked up a little bit in the last election, is just around about 40-42% in the Neighbour. Now it is 42% of about 1.3, 1.4 million people who are registered to vote. Well, not registered to vote. Them get them ID, their national ID. That's what they register for. Now, yes, the Jamaica Labour Party enjoys an organic base of about 420,000 people. Now, the PNP's base is about 275,000. And then now we know what them do to get another 125,000, which they cannot continue to do because it's very expensive. No. So there is no problem there. My issue is, while the government is being government, we should make it easier for the government. There must be political cover. There must be a strategy. There must be a way to provide cover. Neighbour.
So why you not pull a team together and help with that strategy, man?
Neighbour, we can. We could probably have a super PAC, as I shared with somebody in recent times.
You have chops online here.
It is going to take more than just me chops and you. You need a super
Well. You need what?
A super PAC. We need a super PAC that can finance a certain.
But I heard Mr. Vegas last night with a very good suggestion too. The fact of the matter, in protecting Jamaica is that sometimes I think that people who have an interest, people who are interested in seeing Jamaica progress, they have to just come together and do it,
Yes, very important. We're playing a part here, which is a very significant part, but it is going to take a little bit more. And the little bit more that it requires in this kind of situation, as I alluded to, Neighbour, no, you don't have a lot of time. For a people to be taken from West Africa, taken to France, then shipped to Jamaica, then after almost 400 years, you go right into political independence. You have a group of people with different languages who now have to be forced to learn English language. They were told that them dons because you don't understand English language. Then now you're going to political independence. A group of people live on plantation lands. Up until today, they live on plantation lands. Lands have not been regularized. They have been promised land.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yeah.
throughout the 70s, the late 60s to the 70s, they chat him out. Michael Manley knew what he was doing because he understood the landscape. And so he knew that these are people that need now to own land because them now have nothing. And so him chat him out to them and tell them, say, give them land. It continued right up to the 90s where the PMP knew and understood.
Hold on. Which day this week would you be available for me and you to really spend an hour on this? I'd really love to do that.
I will have to communicate that to the people who operate the operations behind the scene.
But no. But because I really hate to be intervening so often.
And I understand it by this Sunday.
Yes, but all of last week, this is the type of conversation I like protecting because it speaks to the issues that we are having. It speaks to the problem we have, and I've been saying all week, wholeness must be looked at in the context of where Jamaica is today and what he got in 2016. And if you look at the Jamaican people and how hard we are to govern, the man has done a remarkable job.
Yes, and it must be recognized that way. But again, neighbor,
and the party ought to strengthen his hand by building this support around him. That's what you are saying.
Neighbor, you know what the problem the PMP are having now, and that is the reason why the Jamaica Labour Party stays afloat. Back in the day, the PMP used to have their private meetings and their little groupings. They go to the universities, they go to Citizens Association, and they have these meetings, and nobody know of them.
Yes.
Today, these meetings are being carried, whether on TikTok, they are being shared clippings of, and so people are literally being let into the operations of the PMP. So the PMP does not operate on stealth or in the stealth mode anymore. And so what that is doing, it is sort of revealing the underbelly of their approach to how they see Jamaica. And so it is placing them at a disadvantage, and it is giving the Jamaica Labour Party an edge, because whenever it communicates what it is communicating, it does it openly. The problem I continue to have is the political coverage that the Prime Minister needs. The Prime Minister, so far, I have observed, the Prime Minister is a man who just want to hunker down and work and get the things done. When he has to be stopping, to be paying attention to this foolishness over here and that foolishness over there. And it is the political group, the political organization that needs to provide this cover. The cover needs to be robust. It needs to be continuous so that the Prime Minister can continue to work. And we have to see it as something very important because, okay, the PMP make up a lot of noise. But guess what? Over time, after a while, the people realize that it was just empty noise. But sometimes it lasts too long. So people become confused sometimes before it is settled when somebody come out and clarify. And so there needs to be another approach. Again, the society is changing. The people are now thinking and they're realizing. But the politics, the tone of the politics is also changing, and it requires active participation in current times to deal with these issues. Our people are hard to govern, but there are reasons why they are. I think the Prime Minister understands, but him alone can't do everything. Our people are hard to govern because some of them don't understand what is happening. Just imagine now, neighbor. They have lived, the 40-year-old, the 50-year-old, and the 60-year-old lived through all those years. Might have seen their granny and great-grand still being slaves. Now you're being introduced to a society that is changing. You hear about digital currency jam decks. You hear about this. Now you hear everybody have a bank account. These people are coming from a religious situation that tell them, say, anything electronic is a mark of the beast. The Prime Minister have a lot to deal with in a neighbor.
I am telling you, I have been listening to the Prime Minister since he was 39. And you know why I want people to support this program, and you should tell people to support this program to protect it.
I always do, neighbor.
it is because we prepare for it. So I have been listening to the Prime Minister from he was 39. Did you know, Protecting, that he has not changed his vision for Jamaica?
Nope.
He's not a political opportunist, you know. He's a man that is focused on exactly what he wants to do. And I just believe, Protecting, that the fight that Andrew Holness is in is not a fight that he needs to fight on his own.
No.
It must be fought by those around him.
Neighbor,
he must be allowed to keep his eyes focused. When I hear the Prime Minister say that he wants to make Jamaica like Singapore, it gives me goosebumps, you know, Protecting.
Neighbor,
I wonder if you know, say, and Dubai, sir.
The Prime Minister draws reference to chess sometimes, and sometimes me not think we understand the deeper meaning. I play chess. Neighbor, the most important somebody on the board, the most important piece on the board is who?
Well, you tell me.
The most important piece on the board are the king. And you know what all the others on the board supposed to do? Even the queen? Cover and protect the king. By whichever means, even if somebody ever give up their life.
So what is happening? Why is the Prime Minister not allowed to focus on delivering for the people of Jamaica?
We cannot just expect your political opponent to just sing kumbaya, go hug you up and say, all right, see what you do, so we are going to support you. No. It is your political organization who has to do it. And it has to be a clear strategy. Right now, neighbor, Jamaica is next door to becoming Singapore and Dubai. I need the Prime Minister to hunker down and focus on these things.
With his team, that is the government.
Yes, the political coverage must be put in force now. He must be covered. I am a warfare man in a neighbor. I can't tell you how I know warfare.
Well,
I know warfare very well.
Yeah.
You have to cover your matty. You have to provide coverage.
Hold on there for me, though. Let me come back. My moderator is giving me some more time. Thank you, Caroline. She's giving me more time. Hold on. Chops Media.
I greet you well.
I greet you well on this Sunday. I want to thank the moderator. 13 to 9. She's saying to me that I will get at least another 45 minutes. Moderator.
Awesome.
No, neighbor, 1 more hour.
Okay. So she giving us another hour. All right. That's how she works things behind the scene for us. So all right, Protecting. Recalibrate, and I'm gonna come back to you. Chops Media.
Yes, sir.
Where I want you to start is the Parottee matter. You spoke to the minister last week. Would you like to add some context to that and kind of bring some clarity to what are the concerns and exactly what the government's position on it is?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, neighbor. Yes, we did speak with, we spoke to Minister Clark Green in his capacity as Member of Parliament for the area, Parottee and Black River. Those are the two main areas of concern in terms of the conversation that is being had. Not to say that those are the only two areas in St. Elizabeth that has been affected, but those are the two areas of concern in terms of the public discourse. Parottee in particular, as the minister said, was heavily damaged, but based on the geographic location of it.
When you say heavily damaged, all right, hold on. Please help us, Chops, to understand when you say Parottee, what are you talking about? When you say heavily damaged, tell us what is happening.
So Parottee is a flat, flood-prone area, a community that has been developed in an area that was not necessarily designated for habitation. It's mainly for fisher folks to do their business and not necessarily for living. But as you know, and I know, that in these sort of areas, persons continue to build and they will extend themselves and expand their buildings sometimes without the necessary approval. Now, recently, after the hurricane, you would have heard discussion because, of course, the government had taken a very robust plan in place to assist individuals, and some of those individuals who have been assisted are in the Parottee area. No.
So Parottee is a community. Parottee is a community.
Yes, it is. It
Okay.
is. But it's a community that has a high level of informality there. And based on the geographic of it, it is situated between the pond to the back and the sea to the front. Of course, the sea is where persons would do their fish, the fisher folks would operate from. And then there's a landmass between the pond to the back and the sea. When the hurricane came the other day, those two literally merged, and had it not been for a little verge on the side, if that was not open, cracked open to allow water to come through, then perhaps that area would still be saturated up till today. So luckily that happened, and it saved some lives. Now, the government, in its wisdom, would have taken a decision whether or not to rebuild in some of these areas. And Parottee is one of the areas that the government is looking at, not rebuilding homes, but creating the necessary condition for persons to continue pursuing their livelihood in terms of fishing and other activities within the space. But in terms of living, the government wisely is saying that we're not looking at rebuilding structures in the area, and what they're trying to do is to relocate some of the persons who
live there.
Who live there in other communities.
In other words, their lives to transition from Parottee is going to be better for them.
Oh, absolutely. But one of the things that the minister said, which is very important to note, is that they will not be relocated and not have access to the space. For example, those who are fishermen and fisher folks in general will still have access, and he's going on a limb to say that they are spending a lot of money now in ensuring that the area is so fitted that for fishermen it would be much better than it is now. But as it relates to living in the space, they are not intending on rebuilding homes in an area that is prone to not just flooding, but the high gust of the winds. You don't have to have a hurricane for that to happen. Once you have a high tide, then the area could become impassable.
Okay, so what is the fuss about, and why is this matter such a viral matter with so many people speaking about it? What are the concerns?
It's a viral matter because of course one of the traditional media houses went into the space, and of course they got a report from a couple of folks who I don't know what the questions were, but apparently their response was suggesting that they were being told that they were going to be relocated and they would not have access to the space. And of course, the propaganda mill went into full overdrive, and they started to put a story out to suggest that persons are going to be removed from Parottee, and the government is doing that to make space for investors to come in, which is not the truth, which is further and far away from the truth.
Okay.
Because there is no such plan
Yeah.
for that area.
You Chops Media is a very good communicator. I've listened to you, and I'm not trying to flatter you or anything. You're a good communicator.
Thank you, sir.
What is going to be done, particularly online, he was suggesting that a pact could be formed to help the government within a civic illiterate society, or a society that largely thrives on misinformation, to assist the process, to make sure that people understand these matters, and to negate the effect of the misinformation.
Well, one of the things I had put to the minister when I spoke to him about creating a strategy that will target persons, especially in areas like Parottee, and to tackle conversation such as the one surrounding the misinformation about people being removed from the space, making it available for investors to come in. There has to be a strategy to deal with it, and it has to be a strategy that is so equipped that it will act immediately when these things are out. Because
sorry, you sent me a video, and
yes.
and obviously you sent it to me because you
Yes.
were concerned.
Yes.
And that is a viral video. I mean, if you see the amount of views it gets. Why wasn't this video accompanied with a clarification?
Well, I just sent it to you. I saw it in just browsing through, and I said I just shared it.
But suppose the minister had taken this and said, okay, the first 10 seconds of this, listen to this, and then here is the truth. So that rather than that video being going around, it goes around with the truth. You stitch it.
Right. The stitch would come in, would follow. And that is also a strategy that was deployed back in the 2025 pre-election campaign. We had that, and we were very effective in using it. And it goes back to the machinery that was effective coming into the election, Neighbour, not being activated as we speak. And I think a lot of persons are still wondering if it is that we are still hoping and waiting, and we are still in the mood to only activate our communication apparatus when there's an election in the making. And if that is the thinking, it is the wrong thinking, because while we sit around, Rome is burning. Misinformation, Neighbour, a lie, if left unchecked, will eventually become true. And that's a strategy that the PNP has been using. And until we develop an effective strategy to counter it, which would have to be loaded with facts and truth, you're running the risk of allowing that boulder that I spoke about last time, a boulder that is coming down the hill, to develop momentum and to get to a point where we cannot stop it.
Okay.
We managed to curtail it back in 2025, and we need to start now. So I'm still hoping that the party leadership will do what needs to be done quickly to formulate that strategy so we can get to work and start to inform the Jamaican people of the positives about the country and not allow the negative argument to swirl around.
Okay. Scratchy earlier suggested that political tribalism is the greatest inhibitor of our development. The Prime Minister said that he would want Jamaica to become like a Singapore or a Dubai. Do you think, Chops Media, that it is possible within the current political environment? Singapore, for example, never had opposition they had opposition, but even the opposition was aligned with the objectives of the government. Do you really think that Jamaica can achieve development status in 2030, 2040 with the type of political tribalism that we are practicing?
No. The quick answer to that is no.
So then the Prime Minister's aspirations are a pipe dream?
No, it's not a pipe dream. I think the Prime Minister is onto something, and is onto something big. The question you ask is if we can achieve that with the same level of tribalism that exists. The Prime Minister's aspiration, which I've heard him on that several times, speaks to detribalizing Jamaican politics, which he has been on that campaign. The conversation in Jamaica today is more of bipartisan. It's more moving away from GLP, PNP, and even the naming of one of the infrastructure, major infrastructure development in St. James, after Portia Simpson Miller is a signal that we are de-tribalizing our political landscape. And yes, if that is successful, then the aspiration to have Jamaica become a Singapore, which it should have been Singapore long ago. It should have been Singapore who is saying they want to be a Jamaica.
But we witnessed one of the worst piece of political tribalism a couple of days ago when Nikisha Burchell went in front of a political audience and suggested that Major Anthony Henderson was handpicked by the government. Chaps, that is infusing lies in the minds of comrades who will walk away from there saying exactly that. How do you build a society when you have a Nikisha Burchell up on a platform communicating to people like that? And she is a communicator. And I must tell you that I am disappointed that at this point, at 9 o'clock on a Sunday, I have not heard an official rejection of that coming out of the party.
And that is a problem again, neighbor. I tell you again, it comes back to communication. If you don't speak to the people, if you don't correct the narrative that is being put out by the PNP, if you don't lead the conversations, then somebody will lead it, because the conversation must be had, and the conversation is going to be had. So if you don't lead the conversation, then you're always on the back foot trying to fix a problem that you could have averted. We have to be more assertive. We have to be more proactive other than reactive. I think we are in the reaction mode now. We are reacting to whatever the PNP says, and it should not be the case. We are the government. We are the ones who the Jamaican people have entrusted in running this country, and we should run it. Communication is a problem, neighbor. You have said it here. I never really come out and echo the sentiments publicly, and I'm doing so now because I think it is important that we take this on and fix the problem before it gets worse. Miss Burchell is staying true to form. She is following a PNP's playbook that has yielded them significant results in the last two elections, the local government election in 2024 and the general election in 2025. There's no way we can tell them that they did not yield positive result according to their standards based on the strategy that they have deployed. They started out in 2022 and they campaigned throughout Jamaica 2-3 times around the country, spewing propaganda and lies and misinformation. And we were just sitting back, relaxing, and saying, you know what, let them go on, man. The Jamaican people will find out soon. But yes, by the time the Jamaican people got a chance to find out, we were staring down the barrel of a local government election and right down the barrel of a general elections. And needless to say more, the rest is history. We know what the results are.
Yeah. Protecting Jamaica. Would you chime in here? Protecting?
Yes, neighbor, I'm here.
Tribalism. Protecting Jamaica is probably worse than the party opposite itself. To what extent do you think that the political tribalism can be curtailed, and that it cannot?
No, scratching Scratching's position on political tribalism is real. What you need to do is to plan your strategy of how to suppress the level of strength that the political tribalism can gain.
But to what extent will it prevent the aspiration of Singapore?
All right, let me help you to understand something, because again, I'm a student of Lee Kuan Yew. It's not that Lee Kuan Yew did not have opposition in Singapore. It's not that the opposition did not want the best for Singapore or they were weak. The same thing that I'm saying, that now that you have your opponents working with, the opponents open them playbook right out in the public. And even more so now that we have technology like TikTok and them something there, their playbook is being exposed while they're planning what next to play.
Because democracy is no inhibitor of progress, sir.
So what Lee Kuan Yew did, he messaged his government ahead of opposition.
So the opposition did not have a chance to gain any significance or any influence in the society. And the very point I've been making ever since, sometime, come across so good to some people. The government has to message the opposition out of the game. You have to make them less significant. Because, again, the problem is not they are going to win an election, because the PNP not at a point where they can win any election in Jamaica. The problem is, while you are on the journey and the mission of improving the country, of developing the
Because
country.
this is about the people, it's not about the opposition. It's about the people.
No, it's about the people. So what you do, put your team together. You have a 5-year term, put your team together. Once you put the team together, what's the mission of that team? To make sure that you message, because, okay, the party that forms government is putting the team to politically message. So it means that you must know the programs of the government, because the government has shared the programs with you. So your message ahead of the programs, soften the minds of the people and make them more receptive. And then now by the opposition come, them have no significance. The game gone left them dead in a show. We are playing from behind.
Yes.
Yeah, we're playing from behind.
Yes.
I want to add something to you there, Protected, because you're onto
Asking everyone to tap the screen, share the live, and repost the live, please.
something that is very important there, Protected. Sorry, Neighbour.
No.
Right before the general elections, when the PNP was hunting for blood, I remember I got a message. I can say this here. I got a message that the opposition leader and other members of the party was heading towards Montego Bay, and their premier objective was to tour the new children's hospital. And of course, we know what the objectives were at the time, which is to try to find whatever information they think they can find, and where it's not available, they would create that information. Negative, of course. Having known that, I called, I think at the time, a couple of social media persons. Mr. Vegas was one of them, and at least another 4 or 5 persons. And they did a tour of the facility a day before the opposition came. And they highlighted all the positive things that were happening there. There was no negative. You're building a brand new hospital. There can't be any negative in that. So even except for what is constituted by persons to talk about the timeline and all that stuff. So we went ahead. And I'm saying this to say Protected. That was a classic example of
messaging ahead.
Messaging ahead. Yes. And what that did was when the opposition came, they had nothing at all negative to say about the hospitals at that time. Nothing at all. Because that would have been nullified by the visit a day before. I just wanted to squeeze that in there to strengthen your argument there. Thank you very much, Chopper. So, Neighbour, as I've always said, it's easy. To lead the country is very easy, It's easy when you have $2 trillion to spend. It's easy when you have an election just pass and you just begin a new term. But you're making it hard. Refuse to message. When you refuse to lead the narrative to cover yourself, you're making it very hard. So you have the money if you spend, and if you don't mind job, you're going to lose the money if you spend. You have the money if you spend, if you don't mind job, you can't do nothing. Because everybody just sit down. Right now, as somebody just said a while ago, a big weekend. This part of
sorry.
What time? Not till Monday morning when you put on your suit.
Protecting.
Everybody wait till Monday morning when you put on your suit and walk out with them briefcase. Come on, man. We need to be serious here.
Oh, Protecting is breaking up a little bit. Scratchy?
Yes, Neighbour.
Scratchy, you've been quiet for a while, and you're listening. I'm very impressed when I heard you say earlier that the country has to be aligned with the government's vision, and you know, Scratchy, that's an important point, because if you should ask many people where is the country going? I wonder if they would be able to tell you.
I'm definitely not neighbor. I'm trying to tell them won't be able to tell you from a level where we don't want to get a better understanding neighbor. Because I was saying before neighbor that the country has been in the level of informality and lawlessness over the country for an extended period of time neighbor, where social disorder neighbor become social norms. And any government neighbor who has the opportunity to try to fix that neighbor, it's going to be a very challenging task, because there was a government at the time neighbor who allowed social disorder to get to a level neighbor where it becomes social norm, where now we see where the social norm neighbor is creating, is responsible neighbor for the high level of crime that we're facing in the country. It is responsible for the high level of anarchy that we see across the length and breadth of the country, the disorder, the high level of lawlessness. Because when time now you have a government coming down here, like Anjoli's government, who is trying to set the persons, okay, not because there was a time, there was a point in Jamaica where you used to do this and it was just so normal for you to do it, there wasn't any repercussion, and now the police or the government decide that they're going to put some form of enforcement, I go hard from a law enforcement level, and it now, you get the government to get some form of rebuttal, and persons are going to look into themselves and say, but this was on the books long time, we have breaking the law a long time. No, it is seen as so, it becomes so normal in our society that is what is holding back the government right now, neighbor. A lot of the social norms, things that Jamaicans have become so normal in their everyday life, neighbor, which are illegal, and things that we are holding back the advancement and development of the country. But we get used to it over extended period of time, so it's like it become a norm now. So that's the way some persons don't like the government. That's it, straight, and the government go there and try to enforce this or enforce that. Persons living in capital and the government try to move them. The government get rebuttal, even though these persons know to themselves, say, they don't have no level of, they have no ownership to this land, they don't have no title to this land, but them still cannot see it from a law enforcement level, because they can testify to 15 or 20 other persons who they know and live in the same condition like them, who now come under the form of pressure. So, social norm are all about big time, man. Social norms, social disorder under the People's National Party, and they make it morph into social norms, and it's a whole about Jamaica development and Jamaica advancement. Some simple things, neighbor, that is not correct, but it was left to just morph on its own. That's why it's a criminality rise to the high level of criminality rise too, because people put them trust more in a community members and than the security force at the time. It manifested over an extended period of time where it just become a norm, where it come like it is just a norm right now. So I just want only one thing, neighbor. Joel is here to break a lot of the barriers, neighbor. But you might get only a challenge.
What of the views by both protecting, well, especially protecting that somehow he should be allowed to focus on delivery, and it's not going to be an easy job. I can tell you this, Scratchy. You just need to talk to our policemen and women who have to confront with the people on a daily basis and to understand the type of society that Wholeness is trying to transform. It is a challenge. When you talk about values and learned behavior, those things are not erased with 1 or 2 election cycles. Those things are erased even with a reschooling of the society. There is a view, Scratchy, that support the Prime Minister in terms of the political side of it, or the political fight. Allow him to concentrate on governance. Good point?
I'm definitely neighbor. Good point, neighbor. Very good point, neighbor. Support him, yes, but when I don't think, neighbor, that it take any of us neighbors to come on this platform and say to persons, neighbor, who are members of parliament, neighbor, or councils, or whoever, and say to them, why are you guys not defending the Prime Minister? I think it's a deliberate approach, neighbor. I don't know this information first, neighbor, but based on how I see the Prime Minister carry himself, how I see the Prime Minister demeanor and the Prime Minister leadership style, neighbor, I would think, neighbor, that the Prime Minister deliberately, neighbor, asks these guys, neighbor, tell these guys, neighbor, to just focus, stay focused on the task that is ahead of them, neighbor, and let whatever is to be said, neighbor, or if anyone should come out and be the attacker, neighbor, is him, So I think it is deliberate, it's a deliberate strategy. And I think, neighbor, it worked to a certain level of extent, because sometimes, neighbor, if you have 20 different people, neighbor, talking about a specific thing, neighbor, you're going to get 20 different opinions of whatever is being said. And sometimes that can even cause or raise more question than answer. And that can even propel the whole argument even to a wider level. So sometimes it is best if as minimal persons are best as possible. I mean, persons coming from a high ranking or persons who are certain level of high office. Like we on social media, all of us can come on and come to what we have to say, yeah, we don't want to position certain level. But from a high ranking level neighbor, from a government standpoint neighbor, I think it's best neighbor if it is done in a way neighbor where the information or whatever I said is not left unsaid, but the messaging is straight neighbor, the messaging is concentrated, and the message neighbor is one message neighbor being sent, more than 20 different messages being sent, and 20 different narratives can be derived from those messages. It can muddy the water much more than how the water is.
Fantastic.
I think it's a deliberate approach
Okay.
by the Prime Minister neighbor.
Yes. There are two guests online. I want to see if they have a comment. Don't want to forsake them at all. Fran 121. Good night. Not there. What about 3323? Not there. All right. TV man.
Yeah, may I listen to you, neighbor?
Hi.
I meet my report. Yeah, may I listen, man?
How are you?
When I put the chick where I put, man.
Well.
When I cut meat good.
We are cut meat good.
Yeah, man. I cut meat good, man.
Yes. Let me ask you this question, on TV man. The Prime Minister wants Jamaica to be built to be like Singapore. Believe me, so I wish, I hope that I will live to see that. I'm going to tell you the truth. I am hoping that God will spare me life. Eh?
Before me end up in a one bad spot again where you can't hear me.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
You see, the positions that I take in a neighbor, I think that they are simple and easier than to be coming from behind to deal with issues. Now, look at this next one, neighbor.
I hope you are going to be available for me and you to have this deep conversation one day. Don't.
I will try to make myself available. I will communicate that with
Caroline.
One of either Caroline or one of the other people. No. The Jamaica, I spend the time to understand the Jamaican people. You see, politics has been a science a long time in the neighbor, but it's not just a science for you to run a poll, which is the conventional poll. It is a science that you are to take an interest in as a political organization to understand your society. No, I understand the Jamaican people. I think we all do. The Jamaican people love to have a conversation. They love to be spoken to. They love to be told. Right? They love to hear something. Now, why is it this thirst exists to hear something? Because they don't like to be left in the dark. Jamaican people, them love your things. They want source, they want information. Why can't we convert that into the development goals that the Jamaica Labour Party has? We have development goals. A matter of fact, this government is the only government, I think, in this region that has so many different programs that are either being effected or planned to be instituted over the short to medium term. Why you not go and communicate that to the people? Carry it to the people and give them an understanding. Jamaican people love to have a conversation. That's why the PNP show up on the veranda and they sit down all 2 hours talk to the PNP activists. And the PNP knows this. Go have some town hall. Don't have the grill airport I go bill. Have one town hall down there and discuss with the people them. Over St. Mary, one center like over St. Thomas I go bill. Go have a discussion. Over in the Portland, Brownbrook almost done and the bypass are done. Do not just go up on the national stage in a parliament, go chat and everybody watch TV or parliament. And the news clip 5 o'clock in the evening is not going to carry the full context of what you said. It is too sensitive and important for us to just depend on sound bites for people to understand these projects that the government
but juxtapose that for me, please, protect it, because in the same breath, you are saying that this is the political advantage is still with the government.
Yes.
But you are still saying that they have to message more.
The political advantages with the government, but people, there are too many confused people in Jamaica. Why? Why are they confused? Because there is one side of narrative that takes root.
Yeah. You know.
This approach of coming from behind to deal with issues is not going to help. No, again, neighbor. Again, it is not that the PMP is in any position to win an election anytime soon.
Yes.
For the next 20, 30 years.
And you are saying that their political messaging is not having the type of effect that can gain them any support to win an election.
No, but because of the confusion that they're causing in society, and you need the people on your side as a government, you need the people to be pulling with you, and that's what Likwan you do. We're talking about Singapore many times, we need to understand Singapore.
But do you think though that this may be the comfort of some of the labor rights?
Neighbor, I don't know what is the comfort of some of the labor rights. Okay, but I understand Lee Kuan Yew's doctrine, and he knew that his opposition in Singapore can't win an election. But he did not want to leave the space open for them to confuse the people.
Well, one thing I would want you to point out or to enlarge on is that when we speak of opposition in Jamaica, we're not only speaking about the People's National Party.
No, we are talking about civil society.
And that's where the danger is, I think.
And because it is so dangerous to have these different groups along with the political party with the opposition rising up, you don't want to leave the space for this kind of confusion in the society.
Yes.
And that is my biggest problem. There's too much space left. Okay, 1 week, Jeanette Calder come out 3 trillion missing. One other week, Michael Jackson. Oh, body camera. And one other week, one other come red again. Too much space.
Yeah.
Too much space for these uncircumcised Philistines.
Yeah. Protecting Moses, sir, when he led the children of Israel across the Red Sea, every man came across. You don't leave any behind. And that is what I hear you saying.
We need to bring the people along again.
Every man must come up.
We've been talking about Singapore. We've been talking about but Lee Kuan Yew had a doctrine. And if you listen to him, if you pay close attention, he says he could not afford for something as important as the development of his country. He said he couldn't allow anything to go wrong because everything depended on whether they did it right or if they do it wrong, everybody failed.
Okay.
So he could not leave the space for the opposition to even have a word to offer. What he did, he messaged them out of the entire conversation.
Yeah.
You have to message your opponent out of any situation of influence.
Yeah.
By the time them come to talk, people say, oh, foolishness that. Because guess why Prime Minister going to talk to it and then come with the printout plan and then put it on the projector and we see what it going to look like and we see what house them look like, we see what airport look like and then show we how much jobs are going down here. Why PMP are going to tell we lie now and the Prime Minister show we what is happening.
Okay.
And them, come on, man.
So Dion Miller, in one of her recent posts, said that the Prime Minister was out of order to have criticized the 28 civil society groups who objected to the NARA bill. My understanding, Protecting, is that the groups are not happy with the Prime Minister because of his criticism of them. And Dion Miller is coming out to express, I think, the views of those civil society.
Neighbor, you really want me to go down this because guess what? 3/4 win of the group who were promised position in our PMP administration if Mark Golden they win. So these people are singing, they are crowing for their dinner. They are crowing for them plate of food. These are people, who live on the taxpayers when PMP used to be in power, Them depend this board that one somebody depend 10 board are collecting different money. And that's how they live. These people are hurting in a neighbor. They are hurt. And that is the reason why the Prime Minister don't need to leave no space, because anybody can tap in your back anytime, because there are too many people who are disgruntled in society. Because guess what? The status quo as it was has changed. The skullduggery in the country changed. No money now leak out here, so no money now leak out around there, so nobody now drive up down a NWA if you go collect no brown paper bag. Yeah. Nobody now go to a bus company again, go collect no brown envelope. And all the things change in the country.
But I got wind of something.
Them only a pro for their plate of food.
I got wind of something today, Protecting, and I want you to comment on this, and Chops Media too, that there is a growing concern among many in Jamaica that the Labour Party is going to be dominating politics for quite a while. And it is causing a bit of nervousness over on the, not only the side of the PNP, but these civil society groups who do not see the PNP returning to power anytime soon. Do you expect...
It is a concern for those neighbor who once controlled Jamaica.
Yes.
All right, look at it. If you do this, if you keep doing the same thing and you're getting a particular result, but the result that you're getting is not the result you want, doesn't it mean, therefore, that you should change your
What I want to ask is, desperate people do desperate things.
And that's where I'm going.
How do you think the politics is going to be shaped by these desperate people?
It is, but neighbor, again, one of the good things that we have happening in our country, because of the level of desperation, these people are not operating behind the scenes anymore. Their hands are being shown right wide in the open. So again, we cannot run the risk of saying to ourselves that, oh, the Jamaican people will see. It goes back to where I started when I first opened my mouth tonight. There is this common foundation understanding in psychology. You have to teach people what to think. Remember, in a neighbor, that which you don't know, you don't know. Okay. But it is anything that you're exposed to, you learn, and it now forms the basis of your understanding.
Some blogger has done a flyer and it is circulating, said 4th term loading, and I hear that it is offensive. Do you think that the party should say to its supporters, hold over that type of thing? No?
Politics is competitive. That forms a neighbor. There are many moving parts. There are many moving parts in this competition called politics.
Yes.
And if all the parts are not moving simultaneously, they don't have to be moving on the same.
But if the Labour Party pushes that narrative, you don't think the PNP is going to get into campaign mood too?
But it doesn't matter, because when you have your opponent on the wire, them do foolishness. So their game plan I got shift up and shift too many times, them start exposing themselves, and then as you say, neighbor, again, when you force your opponents in a game to play outside of the plan that them coach give them, you literally have a psychological advantage. And once you begin to dismantle and break down their play, then one, it gives you an insight as to what it is, because they have to shift up the play, but it also gives you the greatest advantage to score goals. It is a part of the political process. No.
So Labour Party supporters should be talking about 4th term loading?
Yes, man. That must be a part of the discussion. It must be a part of the discussion.
You can imagine how painful that is for comrades.
Very painful.
You know, I heard a man today saying that we're tired of staying in opposition. We're tired of opposition now.
Neighbor. My greatest concern is, you see, let me tell you something, when I came on the scene, I am still learning a few things as it comes on to the social media space. But when I came on the scene, there's one mission I came about.
Yes.
You see, too many selfish people are in societies today, not just Jamaica. I must be concerned about how I leave this place after me spend the time I spend here. The Prime Minister said it at one point. His concern is that when he come and see something, he must not leave it the way he came and saw it.
Yes.
I must contribute to the
progress and the progression of my country.
Yes, I hear
Because
the
when
passion
leave
every
my
time.
children,
I hear the passion every time you speak, you know, sir.
yes, man.
Oh my.
Jamaica must win. When neighbor, I've spent the last 4 years on League One U.
Yes.
League One U, a UDC that was developed by the JLP, and all the plans for Jamaica, all the plans for future Jamaica was placed at the UDC up to 1968.
Yes.
When it came to Jamaica, along with the International Bank of Reconstruction at the time, when they were just about developing, when they separate from Malaysia. Malaysia, one of them, yeah. And the plans that were shared, the idea that were shared with him, the man said Jamaica had so much potential until Michael Manley come and sell falls up.
Yes.
We should have been so much farther ahead. Michael Manley in the 70s set us back about 15, 20 years. And then the PMP take 18 and a half years to set us back. So altogether, them two period there is about 45 years we set back. We should have been so much further ahead. It is a disgrace that people today, PMP in a 2025 from political campaign, and talk about that them build pit latrine give people. What a shame. A disgrace. What is that to talk about from political platform? Pit latrine?
Yeah, but let me ask you this before I go back to Chuck. Don't you think, though, protecting that we have to settle down while we do our political work and have our political conversations, that the national campaigning have to be curtailed to allow the country to focus on its
Neighbor, we don't need to campaign, my friend.
Yes.
What we need to do, you say we don't need the PMP are campaigning, you know. I guess we have to remember also, you know, don't get sucked in by what the PMP is doing, you know. Because my goal in is fighting for his political life in the party.
Well, I don't think he is their problem, you know, and I did a piece on that. I think the PNP's problem is not individuals, but identity. Nobody can save them. No one man can save that party.
But he loves him, get a taste of the power and him want it, and him not go him say him not move.
Well,
him like the feel of power, him like to be at the center of decision. No. While them are do for them thing over there, so preparing for September, I hope we don't get sucked in too much by what they're doing. Because again, he has to appeal nationally, especially in a period like this. No. The party that I support don't need to campaign. The party that I support forms government. So the government needs to communicate with the people. Yeah, lead the people, you must talk to them. You mentioned Moses earlier. There was a time when the children of Israel I wonder, oh, Moses, you not saying nothing to me. God tell you nothing.
Yes.
You don't go up on the hill. The people were here.
Yeah, and he was a great leader.
The people need to hear. But the government don't need to wait until the opposition creates some mess out there. If you go talk to the people, the government need to have a strategy and a program where we have too many things happening. All right now, in Montego Bay, the government should have at least 2 town hall already. One, about how Nara will restore downtown because the river them they come over and mash up downtown and South St. James. But 2, the government should be discussing now and begin to soften people up to the idea that the highway is soon done.
Yes.
We have to talk to the people.
As a matter of fact, many Jamaicans don't even know say that a bill.
That is the problem. The government behave like say, if Jamaicans are just go to bed tonight and get a dream, say highway a bill long and mobile. Come on, man, talk to the people.
Yeah.
When you do that, you make it easier when there's a narrative out there that nothing not going on and the government not do.
Before you go protecting, comment on this. Andrew Holness, though, is proving to be one hell of a leader for Jamaica.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. The more I study him and read about him and watch him, because I do that to prepare for my program, I realize that Jamaica don't know what they have. That they have in Andrew Holness a gift that, I tell you, no better no dead. And I don't think he will be bettered by anyone coming in the future. In that regard, protecting Jamaica, the contextualizing of his leadership is something that I believe we should have a conversation on to give him his due, and for Jamaican to understand just how marvelous a job he's doing in restoring their country. A man, you know, protecting, who has led Jamaica through its worst, a worst pandemic and a worst hurricane, and the country did not collapse.
Neighbor, I tell you, you're becoming a masterful journalist. To close out my contribution, you have brought me right back in full circle to where I started. For 32 years altogether, the time the PMP spent in leadership in independent Jamaica, who that are them sitting and make up nice? I want to go on there.
Yeah, go ahead. So, yeah, mute Patrick. Yeah.
No, for 32 years the PMP spent in power. Altogether, the 32 years in independent Jamaica leading, they have demolished the social fabric of our society. They have demolished even the ambition of the people.
Yes, the aspirations.
The aspirations.
Their values was destroyed.
Value, self-worth, everything. People now look forward to.
And that is the cost. And that is why I want to have this conversation. That is the cost of collapse that we have never examined.
Never, right? No, I have examined it. No. What has happened over this period? Notice what has happened over this period, neighbor. 1972 to 1980, the PMP was talking. 1989 to 2007, the PMP was talking. The JLP in a talking business. What was the PMP doing talking through this period? They were teaching people to love them. I believe, women don't believe many things, because belief really not real. I know for sure, if we do not begin to teach people what to think, we're failing. And we need to begin the process of teaching people to love Andrew Holness and give them the reasons why they should love Andrew Holness.
Fully agree.
Because guess what I say?
Fully agree.
Nobody now got in bed tonight. Nobody now got in bed tonight and get a vision and say they must love Andrew Holness. And also go. You have to tell people. You love you. Every now and then you make reference to a relationship. If a woman have issues connecting the dots with a man's intention, she go with all her love, and
yes,
she not go even go near to love.
Yes.
We have to be smart at this. So the political campaign, we have that lack. But we need to have the political wisdom while we are government. We can't have the greatest leader in the whole Caribbean.
Absolutely correct. You nailed it there, man.
And the people of Jamaica are being taught in real time by the PMP to hate him. So why we don't realize that we have to go teach them to love him?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
They are teaching the people to hate him. Why we not think so we have to go teach them to love him?
Yeah, you made a point better than I do, sir. I think he's absolutely fantastic, a fantastic leader. Let me tell you something, sir. When you examine Jamaica in 2016, where we are coming from, let me tell you something. Jamaicans don't even. There's not a man in Jamaica that shouldn't vote for this man. I tell you the truth. If you love your country and you respect yourself, you should support Holness. Holness is great. And what Holness
has... but here's what you do, look why. You're doing what I'm saying. The PMP said don't love Holness, don't do nothing and in this and in that. You just say what you just said a while ago. That's what we should be doing. Love him because he's doing this and he's doing that and he's doing that. And him you feel love.
Yeah. But I don't think people understand what this man has. You know, sir, Mr. Shaw said in 2013 that 44% of Jamaican women couldn't find a work, Mr. Siaga said in the 1990s that only 10% of students were passing maths and English, Some schools,
my brother got back road with their neighbor. And I must say to somebody you see, all them gonna get job too around there.
Well,
work there.
That is not good news. My favorite spot is getting rich. Yeah.
They gonna keep prayer service nearby.
Say what?
You have prayer service and Bible study around here?
Sometimes you don't walk through prayer meeting. You don't walk through.
Of course, I know.
Walk through. Yeah. But nice talking to you, man. Great conversation.
Always, neighbor.
Yeah.
Always.
All right.
Glad to
add my voice to the
Yeah,
conversation.
and Caroline will be reaching out to you. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the cost of collapse. It's a very important conversation. Thank you. Chops Media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Boy, I have to admire Protecting's vibrancy, and he's always so passionate about his views and his country. You may not agree with him, but you can't take away the passion from him.
Not at all. Not at all.
he's always very passionate, very passionate. But you go ahead.
Yeah, he made some point that I wanted to come back to the question that you asked earlier, Singapore.
Yes.
And just to touch on what Protecting said earlier.
Is it achievable? Is it achievable?
It is achievable. It is achievable. The condition on which we'll achieve that will have to change. Singapore and Jamaica both became independent in the 1960s, early 60s. Jamaica became independent in 1962, and I think Singapore was in 1965.
Right.
At the time when Jamaica became independent, our independence in 62, we actually had a higher per capita income than Singapore.
Correct.
I think at the time our GDP per capita exceed what Singapore is now at what, $80,000.
88,000 US.
Yeah, and Jamaica is hovering somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000.
Just under 7,000.
Right. The question is being asked what it is that Singapore did differently. Well, based on my study, and I've really dipped into Singapore and Lee Kuan Yew for many years. Singapore took on, and what Jamaica is doing now, Neighbour, is right in line with what Singapore did to the.
You mean 60 odd years after
Yes.
after that? We just had to eat?
So the coin has been flipped, because 60 odd years ago, Singapore looked at our model and moved ahead with it. Singapore did not become Singapore simply because they implemented Jamaica's economic policy. Singapore had to do a lot of other things. In other words, they had to infuse some level of dictatorship in their leadership style in order to get things done. They had to cut through all the bureaucracy and the nonsense that exists.
In other words, technocracy and bureaucracy as inhibitors of development. Those things were not part of what they dealt with.
No, they had to move it. It was there, and it tried its utmost best to get itself entangled into what Lee Kuan Yew had planned. But he had to move those things out the way and get on with the business of developing the country. So Singapore made economic growth a national mission. And just think about these things, Singapore made economic growth a national mission. Singapore leader Lee Kuan Yew treated economic development as a matter of national survival. These are the same things that Jamaica is doing today.
Yes, but the people also were on board with him.
Yes, and it took a while, because make no mistake about it, Singapore is a rough area.
Yeah, because of their ethnic diversity.
Yes.
And I heard I heard Miss Burchell in Parliament talking about patois. And one of the things that Lee Kuan Yew was allow the people to keep their ethnic language, but made English the universal language of Singapore. So
absolutely,
we don't need to argue that Miss Burchell should go and read about that. We're not talking about people can't talk patois, but English is what we should embrace as our national language.
But think about some of the things that Singapore focused on, neighbors. Singapore focused on job creation, attracting foreign direct investment.
Oh, and still they are.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it is one of the most attractive country for investment, in the world. Even now, although they have very little land space, that most of the major industries in the world are in Singapore.
Yes, man, absolutely. Our HQ is in Singapore, and they are a tiny dot in Jamaica. Singapore, as I said before, they focus on job creation and attracting foreign direct investment.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Chops. You told me some time ago that you lived in the United States and you came back to Jamaica for certain reasons. Did you believe that we would have been so far ahead? Did you really believe it?
I believed it because I believed in the Jamaica Labour Party leadership.
So you actually believe that at 2026 we could have been experiencing this reduction in crime, this amount of jobs created, and this prospect of a developing country? You really saw that?
All right. So here's where I had some difficulty. Back in 2015, 2014, the murder rate was extremely high. And one of the things that I advocated for was that the police force should be dismantled, rebranded.
Many other people were calling for that.
Yes, because at the time it was inherently corrupt, and I never believed that you could pour clean wine in a dirty vessel. So I believe that we needed to get rid of it totally. To my surprise, the Jamaica Labour Party took office in 2016, and they embarked on a more internal fix for constabulary force and the JDF. And today they say the rest is history. So I betted against that policy because I did not support the idea of reforming the police from within. I believe that it was too corrupt for that to happen. But they proved me wrong. After $50-60 billion investment in the police force, we've seen the result, 58% reduction in murder. So that is significant, Neighbour. Just to pivot back to Singapore real quick before Singapore invested aggressively in education.
Yes, still they are doing that.
Yes. And they're ranked among one of the most educated societies in the region. The problem Jamaica faced, Neighbour, and here's where we have to lay the blame squarely where it belongs. It says, in contrast, Jamaica experienced period of economic instability, debt accumulation, and slow growth over several decades.
In other words, there was no money to invest in the human development of our people.
None whatsoever.
That
is the problem, right?
And the society today is suffering for that, because these people who should have been educated in that over that period are now undereducated.
Exactly. And you spoke about it earlier. You spoke about your experience in the bank where the average Jamaican was finding it difficult to even maneuver themselves through withdrawal and using the electronic system in the banking sector. Singapore created a highly efficient public service. I'm saying this, because I'm pointing you to where Andrew Michael Holness
wants to take Jamaica.
Yes, because everything I'm listing here is what Singapore did to become Singapore. And everything I'm listing here is right down the alley of where Andrew Holness is focusing on.
Tell them.
Right? Creating highly efficient public service. Singapore invested heavily in professional civil servant, merit-based appointment,
In other words, meritocracy, not who you know, but based on your qualifications. So for example, Major Anderson would apply, and if he's qualified for the job, he gets it. So this nonsense about handpick is rubbish.
Nonsense. Lee Kuan Yew invested heavily also in a strong accountability system, which is what we are doing. Right? Listen to this part, Fast decision-making mechanism.
That's Nara.
Singapore created a fast decision-making mechanism. Government agencies became known for efficiency and reliability.
Well, tell them. In other words, this is not just to say we will be like Singapore. We have to do these things.
But we are doing these things, Neighbour. That's what I'm getting to, and that's why I'm optimistic. And I'm lining up myself with the Prime Minister, because I believe that what he's saying, his vision, is attainable, right? Government agencies, Neighbour, became known for efficiency and reliability. People could depend on government in Singapore.
Wow.
It says that Jamaica has made progress, but bureaucracy, procurement delay, and administrative inefficiencies have often slow investment and project execution.
In other words, people who have money to invest looks at your bureaucracy before they decide I'll come to Jamaica or I'll go to Singapore. So you have to create an environment where investors find that it is free. Chops me that it is true, because there's a man who is doing some investment in Trelawney, and I can tell you, not easy to get things done and approved in Jamaica at all. So takes much too long. Takes much too long. Yeah. So an investor friendly environment with a workforce that is efficient
and
educated. So the man now come by your job, come smoke a spliff, and every hour you can't find him gone out the door and smoke.
Exactly. It says also, Neighbour, that Singapore took corruption seriously. Singapore established one of the world's strongest anti-corruption framework through the Corruption Practice Investigation Bureau, the CPIB.
Because they pay their public servants well. And we are quarreling in Jamaica for the little increase that our people get, and we expect them to be.
I'm saying these things, Neighbour,
yes,
because I want persons to know. Look at what I'm saying that Singapore has done to become Singapore, and look at what Andrew Holness and the JLP government is doing now to get us to where Singapore is. The key features include strong enforcement, independent investigations, severe penalties.
Yes, for public officials that were found to be corrupt.
And competitive salaries for public officials. Competitive salaries for public officials. They pay their public servants well. That means they can't be corrupt. And when they're caught being corrupt, they're sent to the workhouse for it.
Yes. Yes, that.
Simple. Singapore is consistently run among the least corrupt countries globally, and that is because of the anti-corruption framework that they have put in place. Singapore invests aggressively in education, Neighbour.
Yes.
The government aligned education with economic needs.
Yes.
Mathematics, science, engineering, technical training, English language, all of that stuff. They invest a lot of money in it. The result was highly skilled workforce. They have a highly skilled workforce capable of attracting international companies.
Yeah, I wonder if Jamaica is listening to you, sir. It's not a pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream, Chops Media.
No, and he's way down the wicket. The Andrew Holness administration is way down the wicket on this. Jamaica has produced many talented individuals, but literacy, numeracy, and skill mismatches. Oh God, I'm telling you, boy. It says mismatch remain development challenges. You see, you spoke about it earlier, Neighbour, where you make some progress in one area, but you have deficiencies in others. And one of the things that we have to put more emphasis on now is getting the population more efficient through education. Singapore,
but this is why Holness would have made institutions like HEART so accessible.
Yes.
But
yes,
I don't hear it being pushed enough by members of parliament and councillors that come to their offices to say, go to HEART. You know, sir, I know this because I don't want to say I'm directly involved in HEART, but I know enough by association to know that a lot of the programs in HEART, they can't find students to fill them,
Can't find nobody to fill them, Neighbour. Right?
It's a serious thing, I'm telling you, that they can't find there are programs at HEART that they cannot find students, and no matter how they beg people to come to HEART to train, people them not come.
Yeah, the government had mandated HEART to go to the communities and bring the courses down to the corners. Another thing that Singapore does, and I want people to understand it, because listen to me, Neighbour, you mentioned, you ask a very important question. You ask if I believe whether or not the aspiration of the Prime Minister to get us to the level of Singapore is realistic. Number 5 on my list here is Singapore focused on housing.
Yes.
Through the Housing and Development Board, the HDB, Singapore built affordable housing on a massive scale. Today in Singapore, more than 75% of residents live in HBD housing, right?
Yes, high rise buildings.
Yes. Home ownership exceeds 85%. So it's only 15% of Singapore that is not homeowners. 15%
of the entire population, over 6 million people.
The entire population that
don't own a home.
You're right. This creates social stability and help to build a strong middle class. Singapore became a global logistics hub. Think about where we are. Think all of what we're saying here.
It's a playbook. It's a playbook. It's a playbook. It's a playbook, chops.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Singapore transformed its port into one of the busiest and most efficient in the world.
Oh Lord, they are refueling. They are refueling. They're one of the refueling giants. You know, they refuel ships.
It invests in deep water ports.
Yes.
Airports, free zone, warehousing, custom efficiencies. Jamaica has pursued logistics hub ambition, but implementation has been slower and less comprehensive. Number 7 on my list here, and I hope I can just wrap it up real quick.
Yes.
Singapore maintained political stability and policy consistency. Yeah.
In other words, there was no change. No change to the direction they were going.
No change. And I say this because it is important. Singapore maintained political stability and policy consistency.
But so the partisans will say, well, you know, that is you arguing for the Jamaica Labour Party to be kept in power.
Well, if that is what it is to get us to where Singapore is,
but then we are not going to make progress drops if we take 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. And that's what our problem has been since independence. There has been no continuity.
I will not apologize for that because I have a piece here, and you know I like to put pen to paper from time to time, and I'm going to share it with you very soon.
Okay.
But let me tell you something. The question that has been on the minds of a lot of Jamaicans and the debate in the public space has always been whether or not the Jamaica Labour Party or the PNP has done enough for this country. It says verdict of history. Which political party has done more to build a modern Jamaica? Yeah?
Uh-huh.
And for 60 years, more than 60 years, right? 64 years to be exact, after independence, one of the questions continues to shape Jamaica's political discourse. Which political party has done more to build a modern Jamaica? The Jamaica Labour Party or the People's National Party? It is a debate that has surfaced in Parliament and radio, in community meetings across all social media platforms.
Yes.
And around dining tables. Supporters of both political parties can point to achievements they believe transform the country. Critics, just as passionately, point to policies and decisions they believe support Jamaica's progress. But 64 years after independence,
yes,
deserve a more serious assessment than slogans. Jamaica development must be measured by evidence, neighbor.
Absolutely.
Debt, employment, and infrastructure, education, tourism, investor confidence. So all of these things are going to come out. I'm making sure that this is loaded with data.
Yes.
To support the argument. because I don't want us to have the conversation anymore about who do more for Jamaica, PNP or JLP.
You are saying as we close that at this point, continuity is part of what must happen for us to reach the aspiration of Singapore.
But the reason I came back to the article, Neighbour, is I wanted to suggest to you that if we don't ensure that there is continuity in governance and stability, consistency, if we don't ensure that, then we are doomed to fail, because every time that there is a one single ounce of inconsistency, every single time that we've changed direction in terms of governance, we always set ourselves back 20 or 30 years. And that is the reality.
But then it also means that the supporters, workers, all the affiliates of the party need to understand this.
And that is why we will now have to have the conversation. If you notice, I am not here to say that the party must have the conversation and the party. I am having the conversation.
Yes.
I listened to a live today that spent 4 hours discussing the Keisha, what her name is.
Burchett.
Yeah? Yes. And they did not spend a single second to talk about what it is that Andrew Michael Holness has done for this country. They have not spent a single moment.
What a waste of time.
The direction in which Andrew Holness wants to take this country.
Yes.
Yeah? So sometimes when we're talking about the party and what the party needs to do, we also equally have a responsibility. Yes, we can highlight whatever the party needs to do. Nothing is wrong with that. Squeeze it in there sometimes. I've done it too. But I spend 95% of my time doing what I can do to change the narrative and to shape the narrative. And 5% telling the party what they need to do.
That's true.
I think if we continue on that path, we'll be better off.
That's true. And so again, Chops Media. Aspiration Singapore. You have outlined what Jamaica needs to do. But one of those points is, listen to me. If you are going to achieve that, then you have to keep going forward.
Yes.
You have to keep going forward. You can't stop and change. In other words, the plan that Jamaica is on now, the path, anyhow you come off that path, then may as well you give it up.
You see,
because quite frankly, the People's National Party does not agree with the path. They don't.
Yes.
I mean, they have a different direction.
Mm-hmm. And that's a problem, Neighbour. You see, the two political parties in Jamaica, I remember between 2007 and 2016, one of the government would have been pursuing austerity, while the other is pursuing prosperity. So it was a prosperity versus austerity government. And you ask yourself the question, how can the two work together? Can austerity and prosperity survive in the same ecosystem?
But it's almost paradoxical, because austerity means that you don't have it.
Precisely. Now, in between 2007 and 2016, the ecosystem that was created for the PNP was created to support austerity. Now, how can the JLP take office in 2016 and expect the same? Well, not expect, but a lot of people wanted the JLP to keep the same ecosystem in place and to pursue prosperity policy. It is madness.
It is madness, yes.
Madness.
It is absolute rubbish. Anyway,
madness.
Nice talking to you.
Always.
Take care of yourself.
All the best to you.
Take care. All right. 3 minutes after 10 o'clock. TV man, I hope you don't fall asleep on me. I know that I didn't treat you so good tonight. But boy, I tell you, when we have people like Chops Media protecting Jamaica, they have so much to say, and there is so much that they want to talk about that sometimes we get a little drawn. TV man, are you there? No, he's not there. Okay. It was a fascinating show, and we have TV man. Oh, he's gone. All right. It's at 10 o'clock. Wanna thank you. For locking down with us this Sunday night. Uskin, why is Uskin in the chat giving problem? Why is Uskin in the chat giving problems? Uskin, what's happening, man? Take care of yourself. Let me talk to him for a minute. Let me talk to him for a minute there. Put him up there. Hello, HR guru. What are you doing, man? How are things in the HR department? Uskin,
Chief.
how are you, man?
I am not about to talk about how I am. What you want to talk to me about, partisan or nationally?
Is a puss or a cat?
It's a cat.
It's a cat.
It's a puss.
Uh-huh.
It's a puss.
Uskin, let me ask you a question. Chops Media just made a point that to me stimulates me. If you notice how agitated I am, because I like them type of discussion here.
Cerebral, man.
Yeah, I can probably go until midnight. The fact is that if we are going to develop our country, we have to pursue a path that aligns with our development, but we can't chop and change. How do we within this political environment communicate that?
It's a nuance thing you're asking me with the limited time you have. But let me take a shot at it. How do we develop that? It starts with understanding what exactly it is that you want to communicate and what your audience is. Now the question is, are we talking to a select few or are we talking to the entire nation? Because if the conversation is not directed at the entire nation and it's directed to the people who agree with us, then it's pointless. I like listening to people like Chops and that fellow Harry Enriquez.
Yes.
They come from a place driven by knowledge. Yeah, Chops is partisan, Harry is partisan. It's okay to support a political party.
Absolutely.
That's why I said people just losing their minds, thinking that, I go to talk to the PNP people, they think I'm a Labourite. I come to talk to you guys, you think I'm a comrade. And that's just a fascinating concept that
I'm asking you, political tribalism has held us back, and we are emerging. We are emerging at a point where the Prime Minister has placed before us an aspiration. Can we look at moving forward beyond this? I don't know. Even within the democracy here, and the democracy meaning that you're going to have the political sides. Could we agree on some fundamentals that everybody have to support this for Jamaica?
Everybody have to is a big statement. Everybody ought to is a more enlightened statement, because everybody won't, based on where we actually are. And if we're looking at an ideal, everybody has to. But if we're looking at reality, everybody won't. So then, are you going to speak to the converted? Are you going to speak to the undecided or the unconverted? Therein lies the crux of the communication challenges that we face as a nation.
Yes, it does.
We can't. Yeah. So it can't be that I don't agree with someone and they just want to cuss. Like, I'm just going to ignore you. You're not talking to me. Because you want to have a conversation, let's talk. And if you don't want to have a conversation, bye. There are people who want to and can, because some people are not equipped to have that conversation. And they're on both sides.
Okay.
Is the government achieving a great deal of things? Yes.
Yes.
Is the government making missteps? Yes. Is the government beyond impeachable? No. It can't be that we just color this thing and think that, because I support this side, they can do no wrong. Now, let me say this to you. We've been citing Singapore. Singapore has very draconian methods. You know, if you're smuggling mind-altering substances in Singapore, what the consequences of that are.
Yeah, I know you couldn't even spit on the street there at one time, so I don't know if that is happening again. Couldn't spit there. As a matter of fact, at one time in Singapore, if you were going to go to jail, it's 6 months you get in, you know. Not less than that. Because they're gonna make sure that when you come out you are reformed.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are part of the discussion. But I think the fundamental issues that has transformed Singapore can apply to us. For example, the whole matter of technocracy and bureaucracy and a society that is ordered socially. Yes, that understands that citizens have a responsibility to behave a particular way.
Yes.
And I will say this too, sir, which is why I was so disappointed when the PNP challenged the states of emergency. By the way, what the PNP challenged, the Trinidad is using that now as a means of curtailing crime. Because I'm not a believer, sir, that democracy ought to operate on the principle that we operate it on. I think that democracy is a social contract. Because, sir, under the social contract, citizens give up rights so that they can live in peace. And if I have to give up my rights so that my community is safe, and I will do it, and I will do so. You understand me? It is to the extent it is
rights.
Freedoms and free. No. There are privileges that Jamaicans enjoy that some of them may have to be given up. In order for the greater good of the society. I think that we in Jamaica are too free.
Here's how I would frame that, because I fundamentally believe in rights and freedoms. I would frame that in another way, Mr. Neighbour. I would say, in order to go where our ideals are waiting for us, because the ideals are waiting for us to get there, and they're walking towards us, but we'll keep walking in different directions, is that we have to give up some comforts.
Yeah,
not rights.
Asking Jamaicans, when they want to get a visa, go up to Hope Road and form a line and are of their best behavior.
I could tell you stories, but I won't.
Okay.
I'm duty bound not to speak some things.
Yeah.
There are things that I know that I will never speak in a public forum.
Yes.
I know what it means to be disciplined, cohesive.
Yes.
And together as a people. I've lived that life.
Yes.
I've seen it work firsthand.
Yeah, and you could never go up there with onions and bag juice selling on their compound. But if the police say to you down in the halfway tree, okay, you can't put on your cat here, so you fight against me. No. Those are some of the things that we have to. You hear what the man said earlier, sir? That if we are going to be a country where investors are going to see us as a place that they can come with their money, we have to change some things up. We have to clean up all the streets.
Chops Media is a solid man. Chops Media a big man,
Well,
guys like those, they trade in knowledge and they're driven cerebrally from a place that is informed. And Chops is somewhat unbiased. He's a fellow I really could listen to for a long time and no doubt talk with for an even long time.
He's a very good communicator too. He communicates. Yeah, he communicates well.
But then,
and very civic. He understands government, and of all the people online, I think he understands the structures of government best, how government works, and he understands how it aligns with the party, the Jamaica Labour Party. But I don't know why. I think he can help a lot of my friends that are in this space here. He should help them.
Mr. Neighbour, can I say something to you, sir?
Yes.
The first family of Jamaica is to be celebrated, and I would never speak in a besmirching way about any of our leaders, but in particular, the leaders appointed to govern our country. Not any member of the legislative body, and definitely not a member of the executive body. No.
first family, were they not in politics, they would be celebrated, because Jamaicans generally celebrate successful people, whether or not you agree with me. The thing about public service is that when you put yourself up to serve, you open yourself up to a lot of things. And we already have the society that we have. And the leaders have to have very thick skins. And especially the people who are behind the leaders. I, for want of another word, call them sycophants. And I use that word guardedly because I can't find a more euphemistic one to describe the people who are just willing to cuss people if their thoughts don't align with theirs. We just can't countenance that.
But I'm gonna have to run. I'm getting the wrap up.
Yeah, man, take good care of yourself, and big up Caroline, and big up all of the people that move in town. Caroline. I beg your pardon, Lady Caroline. Well spoken lady. Caroline, I know I like,
Oh, you do what? You say you do what? You do what? You do what? You like her?
Caroline. I do. I admire her proper way, her demeanor, but we have to disagree at some point. And disagreeing agreeably, I think, is a mark of the elevated mind.
But I barely see you on the program, man. Why you stay away? You must come up more often. The listeners are saying you must come back.
Neighbor, earlier they were cussing me to not be here, so they're confused.
You must behave yourself. You must behave yourself when you come up. You're here. You are to behave yourself.
I'm not going to agree with everybody, sir. I'm not that kind of man.
Yeah, but don't like Caroline. Don't like her. Leave her alone.
I don't mean like her off, but I want to end on this. I want everybody listening to this, whether you're PNP or JP. I agree in principle with the NARA. I do. I haven't read the act myself. I'm going to read it. And General Anderson, Ambassador Anderson, solid guy.
Big up yourself for that. Yeah. Respect Hoskin. Gotta run.
All right, Chief.
Okay, take care of yourself. YouTube, excellent. Want to thank Caroline for the extra hour, and I made sure that I give her another 16 minutes, so she can't complain. Thank you, Caroline, for making this possible. 1 extra hour of the Hello Neighbor show on the Politics Plus network. Thank you so much, my dear moderator. See Hoskin say him like you. I don't know how you're going to manage with all of these admirers. Caroline, I please, Caroline, stop talking to them. All right? Stop it. Just stop talking to them. Just don't talk to them at all. Remember, Harry, I'm going to have to report Caroline to you because, she making all of these men come up here, come like her off. And it's going to cause a real problem over here. YouTube, take care of yourself. I'll catch you tomorrow at 7 o'clock, okay? Bye-bye. Shafreen, thank you so much. And my listeners on X, Patreon,